Welcome to another episode of The Bastard Sermon. I'm one of your three hosts, Cody Hucker.
Patrick Seta.
And Luke Young.
And today we've got on two fantastic artists, Eamon Hill and Lish CROSSLAND-HILL. Give it up, boys!
You know, I'm really glad you guys didn't clap. You know, there's some people that clap for themselves, and I think it's really weird.
I heard that. That's why I just leaned over and I said, hey,
It's
don't
like
clap.
Yeah.
a test. Have you listened before?
Yeah.
'Cause I like dogging on people for that. Thanks for coming on, guys. Seriously, I'm so excited. These guys brought some cool fucking gifts for us. They brought this hand-drawn picture of the fucking monk with the horns having a good old fucking laugh over some beer. It's fucking awesome. Says, thanks for having us, you bastards.
Let me hold that up so the people on YouTube can really check this thing out, because this is amazing. It's just like our monk, but even better. Hold on, let me get up to do it.
It's seriously fucking awesome. Super clean design. Fucking
It's
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah, really fucking awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And they also brought some comics along too, because you
Yeah,
guys
we
do
did.
comics. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about yourselves.
All right. Yeah, my name is Eamon Hill. I'm a tattooer at Beelistic. I tattoo with Nick, who you guys know.
We don't like tattoos here. So.
Yeah, no, that's what I heard. I heard to keep
Anti-tattoo.
that under.
Yeah.
But that's basically all I do besides the comic book stuff. We started this comic book, how long ago?
About 4 years.
About 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, why don't you?
Oh, okay. So I write the comic. I don't do any of the actual art. We are progressing into the point where I might do some of the color work and some of the lettering, possibly later down the line. But I write the story and then I give it to him to draw all the creepy shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're all the idea. You do you storyboard it out and like give him a general like rough breakdown, and then he starts drawing sketches, or is it like you have the whole thing figured out and you're like, here, fucking draw it?
I wanted to ask that too, because when you ever like you see in comics, you see how big the talk bubbles are and stuff. And like, is that decided? Like, oh, I know how much room this is going to take when I put it in here.
Well, so the general rule is you leave about 20% of the upper part of the frame of each panel, so that way you can fit any text that you could possibly need.
Oh, okay.
And back before digital lettering happened, you would actually hand it off to a letterer before you handed it off to an inker to finish, so you just have everything.
You don't want any
in.
fuck ups.
Exactly.
Yeah, fuck up the whole drawing.
So yeah, but now it's pretty. I don't want to say it's simple, because the people that can really get this craft down are fantastic. Our letterer is a guy named Tim Fuller, and he is outstanding. He finds ways to really fit the letter bubble style itself, the word balloons, to the actual art. You'll see when you open ours up that between the preview issue and then the actual first issue, the lettering is much better, because I just ham-fistedly fucked up our preview issue with it. So
you did it. Were you doing it all digital on like Procreate or something like that?
the first one we did entirely digitally. I penciled some pages that we have, but most of it was done on a Wacom tablet attached to a computer, just sort of daisy-chained through a bunch of different wires.
Goes to like Photoshop or something like that, and then you just basically do it through there.
I'd used at the time it was called Manga Studio. Now it's Clip Studio Paint. It's used by a lot of folks that aren't using the Procreate stuff.
Right.
But honestly, like before that point, everything had just been sort of a start and stop false. Like I'm going to make a comic book. I'm not going to make this comic book. I have to do this, and this instead. And it's actually Lish's fault that we even finished the preview issue, because I was like, let's make a comic. She's like, yeah, let's do that.
And then you start getting into it, and you're just like, I don't want to fucking make a comic at all anymore.
No,
This is like a
is
lot of
tough.
work.
And then she's like, well, by the way, I signed us up for a booth at Cincy Comic Expo, so you have to have something done.
Dude, that's
like,
awesome.
oh, man.
That's fucking awesome. I love that fucking event.
I want to know when you came up with this idea, this story for what is the comic now. Did you always know and want it to be a comic, or were you thinking about writing a book?
Yeah, were you always a writer?
Always, yeah. But so the idea of us writing a comic together actually happened on our first date.
Oh, okay.
And it was a completely different idea. It was a vigilante justice type thing, but it was like over like bullshit stuff. Like this girl would go kill the barista who made her coffee wrong and just kind of ruined her day for it. But it turned out that the barista was like a really bad person anyway, so it was fine.
Like a child rapist murderer.
She actually built robots to kill people with out of old coffee equipment.
Yes.
Nice.
So that comic didn't
sex
happen.
robots.
Yes.
So that comic didn't happen, but we were talking about coming up with something else, and this image came to him, and it's actually the cover image of the full issue that you have there with the guy on the cover with the lantern. So slightly modified, however. But we just started talking about it and coming up with different ideas on what it could be and what we could do with it. And we landed on a gothic horror western. And I always,
that sounds incredible.
Right? And I always wanted to write, but I could never find my medium. And then with this, it's like I just kind of fell into the medium that works best for my style.
Because does it require a lot of like visual elements and not a lot of like description? Like you're more of a dialogue writer in that way?
No, I'm more of a descriptive writer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the dialogue's where I struggle. It turns out pretty good.
So with that being said, did you already have an idea of what these characters looked like before you handed it off to him to draw?
Did you make him do like 12 revisions? Like, nah, that's not my character.
Well, yeah. Like,
how do you know?
When you had written this line for this character, I'm sure you already had an idea as to who he was in your head before you handed it off to draw, right?
Depending on the character, yes. Like there's a bunch of side characters. I'm just like, I don't know, do what you want with this guy. I don't give a shit. But this guy's a bigger character, so I want him to look like our friend such and such.
Okay.
Or this guy looks like a young Kurt Russell. So I'll, aka Dreamboat.
Dreaming.
Yeah. So, but then, like, sometimes I'll write something and he sees something different. Okay. For instance, one of the main female characters in our book, the nurse, I didn't see her the way that he did. And I guess my description didn't really line up for what he was looking at.
Had much bigger breasts in the final.
No, absolutely not. No, like, honestly, had much bigger ears than I ever expected.
Yeah,
but,
I draw big ears.
We meet in the middle on a lot of this stuff. Okay. Since we are married, marriage is about compromise, and sometimes so are comic books.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Yeah, I like that.
And then you guys started this company, Pigbone Comics. That's the name of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, we realized that the best way to go about making this comic book would be to entirely put the publishing on ourselves. There are so many different ways to publish nowadays that you don't have to worry about getting in with the big two. The big two are gonna mire you down as an artist anyway.
What's the big two?
DC and
Marvel, dude.
Oh,
Juggernaut.
Sorry.
Are you all right? Do you have a fever?
No. Together.
You gonna go to the hospital?
Fucking
Pat?
Christ.
We can get you there.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's
sorry. Anyways.
So I have a couple buddies that have worked for those two companies, and both of them have just filled me in on the nightmares of working for those companies. What
were some of them before you move on to that? What were some of the like constraints of working for DC
like
or Marvel?
Schedules and
just
stuff?
payment schedule.
Oh.
Like you had to get everything in on
schedule.
time. But one of our friends, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, was telling me that he was still sitting on waiting for a check 9 months on from when he had done the work.
They're two of the biggest
what the
comic
fuck?
book companies
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
This takes you all fucking day.
Yeah, no, this is forever. Like each one of those pages, each stage of that page is going to take me about 10 hours. So 10 hours penciling, 10 hours inking, 10 hours coloring a page. So I've got 30 hours in on every single page that there's color on. Not on those, thankfully. But normally that's broken up into 3 or 4 different people. That you have a penciler, you have an inker, but you also have to answer then to an editor.
Right.
And we don't have an editor, so I don't have to. I mean, I basically do.
That's me.
Yeah, she tends to be like, hey, don't do that. This looks wrong. Why is this horse, lopsided?
Looks like a dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're looking at massive payments. I mean, they're having signed artists and writers shit out these issues every week.
Seriously.
And with that being said, how long it takes you, each page, I can only imagine.
Isn't it the same thing with like anime? Like
only
just doing
imagine.
anime, like that's just horrible working conditions.
I feel like that's a different work culture.
But I mean, it's still like drawing, I'm
Yeah.
just
I'm
saying,
sure-
like,
I'm
I'm sure
sure
it's as
animation
similar as
studios.
like
Yeah.
Marvel or DC and some of their studios. I'm sure. I don't know if it's correct, if this is the correct hero, but it's the Swamp Thing or some shit had some crazy writing issue. And
Oh, did it?
They could
Yeah.
even had to cancel the show. I don't know if that's all together or not, or if that. I'm not an expert. I'm not a comic expert.
I have no. I know that AT&T now owns Warner Brothers and all that, and there's
AT&T?
some weird, yeah.
What the fuck? Why?
I know, dude.
Why?
It's a weird world, and it's awful. And like they're talking about getting rid of print comics altogether, which
What?
I understand.
No.
Like people consume digitally, but it's just I gotta hold it.
Right.
You know, that's
It's the way I always was whenever I read graphic novels or comic books. It's like I want the physical, and I grew up in an age of all digital everything, so I could easily get it. And it is a lot easier, but there's something to like smelling the fucking ink on the pages and moving it and being able to
like
look at
having
it. And if you want to trace it when you're a kid or whatever, it's there. You can fucking sit and you can sit there and draw next to it or whatever. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I fucking love that about comic books.
and that's it's one of the reasons I've never been. I mean, I'm a collector in that I have comic books,
Yeah.
Right.
but I read them. I read them constantly. I'm not gonna, I keep them in a bag and a board so they don't weather away, but they're beat up. I've read every comic book that I have. I wouldn't want to, just keep them.
Yeah.
I feel
Sorry,
like
I
they've
keep
been making
backing away from that. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
they've been making like quite a comeback now, especially with the MCU and like DC and all this stuff, comic wise.
Absolutely.
Watchmen, all these like comics turning into movies and stuff. Like The Boys, for example. I started watching that on Amazon. It's fucking awesome.
It's like Garth Ennis book, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's based off a book or Watchmen, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's awesome. I think they're making a huge comeback.
They absolutely are, and it's a great time for anyone that is sort of wanting to get into the independent game, because we do have companies that are print for a specific run. You print on demand comics, which is fantastic as a creator. So you're not having to print off, I got to save up enough money to make a 20,000 issue run of a comic book. Like,
Right.
There's no reason for us to do that.
That's insanity. You just print them as people want them.
Exactly.
And just throw them together in your basement or something like that. It's a
And-
perfect world for being a creative
for sure.
person right now with everything that you're able to do, especially with how you can streamline this shit with digital art.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, it doesn't make it a lot easier. Or not. It doesn't make it fucking like simple to do this stuff, but it makes it
Yeah.
a lot easier, right?
It does, for sure. And I've actually found through this whole process, we sort of struggled with how much I'm going to do digitally, how much I'm going to do traditional medium, because when we tackled the preview issue, we did that entirely digitally, and I found myself wasting time. I would zoom in and zoom in.
Try to get shit
and
perfect
zoom
that
in,
no one's
and it's
ever
just
gonna notice.
Yeah, and then I have to shrink it down by, to 6.5 by 9 and some change, and it's going to be nothing. It's going to disappear on you.
Right.
I bet that's a ton of work for both of you on the whole thing, just coming up with a creative culminate, or just working together and actually coming up with a similar idea and be like, whoa, we're both fucking happy with this looks good. What was your inspirations, would you say, writing wise for the story, or
And
just
art wise.
all
For
of it,
her,
yeah,
writing wise, and for him, art wise.
when you described it to him, what would you say? Okay, this is what I want it to be, this is what I am think, you know what I mean?
So it started with the image, and we were just kind of talking about it. And he had, in this image, it was this man going through a swampy area, and he had a bag in his hand, and Eamon says, I just don't know what's in the bag. And I said, it's fucking teeth. Of course it's teeth. And he was like, oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to hand this to you.
Right.
But, I mean, from the time that you start writing a story to the time that you finish, it's a completely different story. We have eliminated so many aspects, so many characters, because one thing with a comic is you can lose someone's interest so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're holding on to them, that every time you're turning a page, you
slot.
want to know what's going to happen.
So every page has to be a bit of a cliffhanger.
Exactly. Exactly.
Man, that's nuts.
And that's so I rely on him for so much of the technical comic book aspect. The other day I was like, so I'm writing something in this one and I want to do 2 pages side by side, but they're both the same thing, just different angles. And he's like, oh yeah, that's weird. We can do that though. 'Cause yeah, we can make that work. And I'm like, yeah. And then you turn and there's a splash page, because I write a lot of splash pages.
Yep.
But
Describe splash
Yeah, I
pages
don't know
for
what
our
that is.
listeners.
Oh, there we go.
yeah, so with a splash page, it's one giant page, one image on a page, basically.
You're
Yeah,
talking
like a
on
full-on.
two full pages. If you were to
Right.
open it, it's
So,
the whole
yeah,
thing is a big
You've
ass.
got a splash page
piece
and
of
then a
art.
double splash page. So the double splash page
this.
is so there's
Yeah.
a splash page right there. And if you
Yeah.
go to the front of the book, the very first page of our
The big one?
issue of the big one, yeah, it's a so actually, sorry, the second 2 pages are a double page spread. So that's the double splash that you get of the town.
Yeah, you got to work hard in getting an image that stands out for a whole page.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I think that's crazy. I mean, it's like, like it's for an example, I guess you would say, like, let's say someone just got murdered and you walk in the room and the next page and you see who it is.
Oh, absolutely. So like, so panel transition is key to storytelling. So if she's like, okay, I want him to discover the bloody corpse of whomever.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that discovery is made by the audience as well. Because if you just show him walking into a room and you're like, oh, there's a corpse there, because you could look at the corpse first and then read the balloon of his surprise, and it's just not dramatic.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have him like open the door, you end the last panel on a shot of him like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
The next page is a giant like murder scene with all the detail that you can have on, an 11 by 17 piece of paper shrunk down. So
on this introductory issue, I really like the Jack Kirby style, like little black dots that you did for the blood and stuff like that, or the filler shit that Jack Kirby used to use in the old school.
Absolutely, the Kirby crackle, man.
Yeah, dude, I fucking really enjoy that. This is really well put together, and it's a couple pages. Like you said, it grabs your attention right away. I mean, what do you got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think, was it 6 pages?
Yeah, I think it's a 6-page.
A quickie just to get you started off, just
right?
To get you hooked into it. And it's got this very graphic scene of this cowboy being ripped to pieces on the just strewn out on this tree.
Yes,
looking like the Predator movie when they find all those dudes skinned alive and shit. I'm just like, this is fucking intense.
That's the page that every kid that we didn't see to be like, hey, this is for adults.
Yeah,
that's the page that they
always open to.
The very first
like
page,
right away.
They'll be fine.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. We did end up toning down some of the language and some of the gore for the first like full book. I don't really think it was like super intentional, but it just kind of happened. Yeah. So as I'm writing this next one, I'm like, oh, that's gory.
How do I get more violence?
More gore, the better.
More gore, the better. But I'm also like, we are creating our own universe, but also trying to stay true to like the Old West timing. So, the way that they speak, the different things that they say, trying to kind of infiltrate that into that too.
Incorporate,
yeah. Without it being like, just fuck shit damn every 10 seconds, because that's not really how it was. Like, they said weird shit instead of like the normal.
Fucking
that's
formation.
Well, that's what happened with Deadwood is the idea, right? They say like cocksucker motherfucker every word, but it's not really cocksucker motherfucker if you go back. It's like these weird religious, like very Christian, like, but it wouldn't make any sense in today's context. So they change it to what you understand now, and it would have the same effect back then, or whatever is the idea.
Yeah, and I only try to like pull like the ones that goes exactly with the scene, so you know exactly what it means, and no one has to look it up.
It has the context,
right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because you never want someone to like feel stupid reading it. I'm not gonna look all this shit up to make someone else feel dumb. I didn't know it before I looked it up either.
I mean, sometimes it might just, all it needs is to sound cool, and then someone's just gonna start using it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds rad. I'm gonna call my asshole friend that.
You snake in the grass.
No, you said you were gonna make your own universe with this series.
Yeah, so
do you have plans for other runs?
We sure do.
You want to spoil everyone?
I have a follow-up question. Now, other people that you guys bring into Pigbone Comics, do you intend to have their pieces also incorporated in the expanded universe that is what Arcana Vaquero is?
So the yes to answer. So we have a friend that is writing a section of the Arcana Vaquero story that is something that we didn't think that we should handle because it deals with indigenous peoples. And so I didn't want to be, and Lish didn't want to be the white couple writing this native story in
especially
a
not
native
today's world
voice,
right.
and just because that just screams horrible. Like, there's nothing about that is appealing.
Someone's gonna want to shut you down quickly.
Absolutely. And so we reached out to a friend of mine who is a very talented writer, who happens to be native, and I was like, hey, so if this is super offensive, I'm very sorry, but here's this section of the story that I would like to have, and we would like you to write it. And she's like, well, I'm a little leery of doing cowboys and Indian stuff. I'm like, no cowboys. Don't worry about that. This is about the first time that these people encounter this entity. And she's like, oh, okay. And she sent us a pitch that, like, we read, and I got goosebumps immediately. I was like, wow, you fucking nailed that.
That's cool.
Like that's awesome.
Yes.
So yeah, we have brought in other people, and we've asked. So we made tarot cards for our Kickstarter.
Ooh, that's
Super
cool.
cool.
And we actually had Tank and Jamie. Oh no, Jamie did a poster for us. We had Tank do one of them. We had 4 artists that we really enjoy their style create a tarot card for the book, and we're gonna have a full set once every issue comes out.
That's
That
really
is
cool.
awesome.
That's so fucking cool. That'd be a cool thing for like Patreon too.
Oh,
if you guys
absolutely.
ever got that, like
We
that,
should
get
figure
that.
out how that works at some point.
We're
We
in the
need
same
to.
boat.
Same.
It's a fucking
Same.
nightmare.
Last episode, I drunkenly announced that we were going to have shit for Patreon was going to be set up. Nope, just kidding. I don't even know if it'll be out by the time this fucking episode's out. I mean, hopefully.
Our website still doesn't. We've got it says under construction, so we did that.
But you get more traffic through, like, I feel like, I don't know this, I'm not... I think you get more traffic through social media anyways. Like that's where everybody's at, right?
Now, before we get too far away from it, I wanted to ask one quick question about your art. Now, you had said earlier that you caught yourself spending forever on a page because you kept zooming in to refine the detail. How do you know when to stop, and what are your thoughts on other comic book artists that are insane with detail, like Alex Ross?
Or like Jeff Darrow.
Yeah.
His stuff with Hard Boiled is the most ridiculous. Or what was it? Shaolin Cowboy is a recent one that he did, and if you just look at the panels, it's just mind-blowing levels of detail.
It hurts your feelings.
Absolutely, it does. It definitely does. Anytime I see that stuff, I'm just like, oh man, I respect you so much, but fuck you so hard.
Right.
Like, this is so bad. Yeah, like this stuff. Like you pull that, like
Little
even
closer
just
to the mic,
him.
I'm sorry.
Like there's that battle scene where he's like gutting everyone, and look at this freaking just like. What are you doing, man? Why
Dude, you
do
just gotta
take so
love
much
the
time?
artists on Dark Horse.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dark Horse is and they're a solid company too. They allow the creators to keep their rights to the stuff that they've created. Yeah,
Look at
but
this
guy,
fucking thing. Holy shit.
Jeff Darrow is insane. He did a book called Hard Boiled also, and that is probably one of my favorite books to look at.
Yeah. So, did you guys both grow up on comics?
No.
No?
No.
No comic background?
A little bit. So I didn't get into comics until I was about 28 because I don't like superheroes.
Oh, really?
I like Aquaman. That's it.
Okay.
But
No,
Is it 'cause he's hot?
no, I like blonde Aquaman from the 70s.
She likes really dweeby.
Like I like
Aquaman.
him like riding on the seahorse, the Legendary Adventures of
With
Aquaman.
the orange and the green and the big ridiculous belt buckle that you
Yeah.
have. That's the one that you're going for?
Yeah, that's
okay,
my boy.
I'm not hating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But so I think I was about 28, and I went to a comic book store with some of my friends. And lo and behold, I find the comic book Crossed. And I was like, oh, this is real fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that. And that's kind of how it started. And I would buy like Crossed and Hack Slash and all these different like horror comics. And I was like, oh, that's my speed. These superheroes, it's such a big universe, especially when you don't grow up in it.
Yeah.
Because there's all these different variations of all these different superheroes, and it's really hard to keep straight, especially when you don't give that much of a shit about it.
Yeah.
It's
guess
really
it makes
hard
sense.
to keep straight when you do give a shit.
Yeah.
about
It
it.
is
dude.
because it's been a non-stop continuous stream of all actual, canonized stuff that's
Right.
somehow been compacted in just a few years, I guess. in
Yeah.
their
And then
timelines.
every 10
fucking
years
deep.
they fucking retcon the whole thing.
Yeah,
They're like, just
exactly.
kidding, that was, this character's
balls
imagination.
deep.
Yeah,
But Luke keeps it all together. You start quoting comic book information incorrectly at this man, he'd be like, hold on a minute. Let me tell you about issue 346 that was never released because it had to, calm down, bud. It's all right. It's you take fucking 3 Adderall and just read every comic book in your collection 4 times over? How do you keep it in there, man?
Because it's precious, right? So,
Yeah.
like
escapism.
This this new era of people being like, comic books are fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's something I missed out on. Like, I was a fucking dweeb. Like, people hated me because I read comic books. And
Fucking nerd.
it's so weird to not I catch myself getting super defensive, and I have to be like, it's different now, man. Like, you don't have to be
Dude,
like
same.
Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in it, and I think the reason that comic fans do desperately cling to this stuff is it's because if you're going to enjoy it and you're going to get shit for it, then you better fucking immerse yourself in that world.
And I give him so much shit for it. So good thing he knows as much as he does.
There's a huge crossover fandom wise with people and professional wrestling as well with the comic book style, because it's two things that people have always felt sort of like, yeah, I like this, but I don't want to tell anyone. This is my little secret, and I hope no one finds out, because I will simultaneously want to run away and defend it at the same time.
Yeah.
It's so weird that the things we grew up with that we used to get bullied for are now so trendy now, like even goth and just being like a hipster, all this kind of shit.
Never hit it.
Well, I mean, you were always into comics and video games, and now we have fucking esports now, which make more money than like fucking actual professional athletes.
Did you hear about the Fortnite World Cup?
No, tell me about it.
This kid won the most money that's ever been distributed in an esports event ever.
How? What
it was a couple milli. Just playing Fortnite.
Yeah, he won like a couple rounds of Fortnite and won about
just
3 million.
And it was kind of cringeworthy too, because I watched the footage of him winning it.
You watched the whole thing?
No, I did not. I don't give a fuck about Fortnite. I hate battle royales. So he wins, right? The guy that lost just looks super salty, and then the kid just stands up. He like throws a fist out of excitement, and then they just like stare at him like for the next 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, that was
like,
super awkward.
They just like hold camera on him. He's just standing there like, what do I do? Like they didn't dump Gatorade on him. They didn't like plug, you know, like any big sponsor for the show. They didn't hit him with confetti.
Yeah, because if they would have dumped
they didn't
Gatorade,
bring Red Bull girls or nothing.
Ruined that computer sitting back there with two 1080s SLI together, talking to $3,000 gaming computer right there. Luke,
fucking uncomfortable.
Gatorade.
You know what's crazy is that even the losers that even get in last place can win they get up to $50,000.
Good.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
Good God. It makes me
take
just
that
wanna,
every
like,
third grade teacher ever. Like,
yeah.
I mean, who's like, you're never
guys.
gonna make any money playing video games.
Yeah,
Dude,
well,
all of my
we are.
teachers were wrong growing up. You're never gonna have a
I'll tell you
calculator
what,
in your
though.
pocket. You're never gonna.
Mansfield was my teacher. He was right about a lot of shit.
I was gonna
like
say art teachers, different breed, man.
Yeah.
Because one of the first backers for our comic on our Kickstarter was my grade school art teacher, Mr. Lanzador.
Shout out.
Awesome.
Shouts out to
Man,
us.
seriously, backs this podcast up, and he's my high school art teacher.
For sure,
like,
man.
He's
And,
a
like,
fucking super solid guy.
These dudes mold minds like forever. Like I would go in early before school to go draw comics with Mr. Lanzador in his classroom. I would stay afterwards to go draw comics.
I'd be walking down the hall, and I hear, it's a fucked reality, and I look over there, and he's listening to Choking Victim in the art room, and I was like, I fucking love Choking Victim. I have it tattooed on me. I was like, you're listening. He like turns it off real quick. Oh, Cody, because he was thought that no one was in here and shit, and he's listening to fuck reality like Choking Victim.
This concept of Tank as a teacher is something that I desperately want to explore, and I'm gonna have to talk to you about it.
We could talk about it
Get
on
a
the mic.
couple, get a couple
What do you want
beers
to
in
know?
them and have them lecture you on something.
No, I want to know how he found that. Like, I have to find this level of connection while still keeping things separate because it has to be professional. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by that.
He did a really good job of it. I mean, it was just like hanging out with a bro that was your teacher, pretty much. It was like, you kind of everybody there respected him because it's an art school, and it was maybe 150 kids that were all weirdos and outcasts listening to punk rock and metal and fucking doing drugs and drinking 40s behind the school before they came into class or
That's
whatever.
oddly specific.
And this dude's got, it was just a bunch of fuck ups, really, that were just creative people, which a lot of creative people
There's
are
probably
sometimes.
a bunch of straight A-ass students there. He's just only talking about him. And
Yeah,
his
he's talking
people.
about himself, trying to cover it up.
I don't know, man. There was a lot of fuck ups. I don't know.
I don't really
know how many of
remember.
them are out there doing awesome things.
You don't
right
look
now.
that bad if there's a bunch of them.
No, but you come in and the dude's got 2 full sleeves of tattoos and he's got Alien Predator tattoos on his kneecaps.
Yes.
It's like, I want to fucking be a dick to him. I'm not going to question his authority. He
Well,
seems
and-
like he's got some shit to say.
Meanwhile,
honestly-
he makes a Russian teacher cry and relieve
Me.
the classroom.
Well, that was in Coleraine.
Sick
That's a
bastard.
different story.
Different time.
What were we going to say?
I was just gonna say. I mean, if there was a dude that could pull that together, it would be Tank. I mean, like I'm not trying to just blow him up or whatever, but he's
Blow him
one
up.
of
He's
Suck his
great.
dick.
I love that
the
guy.
dude is one of the nicest people you could ever meet in your
Yeah.
entire life, and he's extremely supportive. I don't know how many times I've hit him up, late hours, and just been like, "Dude, I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like the art that I'm making. And he's like, why are you doing this? Like, let's talk.
Yeah.
And so we would discuss things, and he's been my cheerleader constantly, man.
He's been like that for this podcast from
He
the
fucking
beginning.
Outstanding. And I want to say, like, if you guys are not aware of Tank, you need to be aware of Tank. You need to find his art because it is just beyond belief. Like, the man is super talented and one of the best lowbrow artists that I could possibly suggest anyone to go check out.
100% quality human being. Go buy his shit. We usually do the ad read after the break.
No,
I love this. Yeah, buy his stuff for the love of God. That's Kneel to No One. KNEELTONOONE.com if you want to check out his dope-ass shirts, enamel pins, glassware. He should be doing some commissions after the summertime. He makes these awesome samurai sifter Oh, Jesus. I'm so sorry about that.
That's fine.
Holy fuck, Cody!
The microphone. That was the most awkward thing I've done.
He almost smashed a glass on a fucking mic stand into our guest.
Yes, but let's not blow the ad read. He makes these dope samurai sifter glasses, the 16-ounce ones. It's got a samurai on one side, Kneel to No One on the other, and swords in between. They're drinking out of the Hop Thulu glasses. Go buy his shit. On top of being an awesome person, he makes really cool stuff that you can own. Go get it.
Great comfortable t-shirts.
It's not that expensive. Just go get it. Support your local people. Everybody's always talking about support your local scene. He's our local scene. Go buy his stuff. And go buy some comic books from these fantastic people. Pigbone Comics. Their Arcana series that they've got coming out. All right, I got to get out of this fucking ad read.
No, it's all good. So just to bring it back, because we started talking about it and then we sort of drifted away. Oh, I just slapped the mic too.
That's all right.
Everybody do that once and then we'll be fine.
And by the way, that wasn't planned at all, Mansfield. This was just all spur of the moment fucking...
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Side note, we discussed.
We just love you, man. That's all there is to it.
But sorry.
Also,
continue.
SummerSlam is on Sunday, Tank, if you want to come over and watch SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's always...
He's really fun to watch wrestling with.
Yeah.
I bet. That would be a fantastic dude to sit down and watch wrestling with. He's doing commentary the whole time. He used to be a roller derby commentator. I would love to sit down and watch this dude at any sporting event. I don't even like sports.
Hell yeah.
But sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, but so the overarching series is called Arcana. This one happens to be Arcana Vaquero. Vaquero means cowboy. And so this is our Western version. We're both big genre fans, and I'm a huge EC Comics fan. And so they're the guys that did Vault of Horror, Haunt of Fear, Tales from the Crypt.
EC?
Nice.
Yeah, EC.
Okay.
They were the ones that when the Comics Code was introduced, it was basically to put these dudes out of business.
They were the creepy ones, right? The real, where they would have the woman holding her own head with the axe and shit like that.
This is an homage to that cover.
Yeah. I see it. That's exactly that.
The artist, Johnny Craig, is one of my favorite artists. That dude is insane. If you just Google Johnny Craig covers...
I'll do it right now.
You're going to get a musician, most likely. Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
There's a singer out there named Johnny Craig.
Oh, shit. I did not even know that.
Yeah. He's a really good singer, but a total fuck up.
Well, Johnny, I'm sure your music's fine, but this is
go.
Johnny Craig, the EC Comics artist. Let's see. EC. Yep.
EC Comics?
He's a fuck up.
But yeah, so
Totally.
so Crime and Suspense stories right there. That cover was put up on as a piece of evidence against comic books by a psychologist, Dr. Frederick Wortham, when he wrote a book called The Seduction of the Innocent. And he was like, comics will ruin everyone's mind. They're causing people to become juvenile delinquents. He's the one that held comic burnings.
And they brought in Wonder Woman as an example because Wonder Woman was written by that psychology professor that had lived with a bunch of his students, where they'd explored bondage ideas inside of Wonder Woman and
absolutely
all this different stuff that Wortham really freaked the fuck out about.
The Lasso of Truth has a dark past.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, and so he's bringing up all this stuff, and then we, as the comic book industry, implemented the Comics Code. It wasn't even mandated by the government.
Yeah, it was just
DC and Marvel were like, oh shit, boom. They were terrified. They immediately slapped you'll never see murder, you'll never see crime, you'll never see blah blah blah. And our comic books were family friendly.
And then in the 70s, they started making characters alcoholics, and they started giving them pill
they
problems.
Changed their tune.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Which
they
is
slowly loosened up the code and eventually got rid of it
And
altogether.
eventually just
Iron
ditched
Man
it.
become a mess.
Which
Yeah.
thank
Oh,
fucking God, because how boring would it be to just
Right?
keep reading the same? How many stories can you do where it's just the good guys are winning and
Dude,
it's the perfect American family and
Some of the best episodes, some of the best issues I've read have had the most murder involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's an issue 1 Titans East where Cyborg is getting all these teens together to start a new team, right? And he gathers them all together to train. And then they all fucking die brutal deaths by the end of it. They're all dead. Every single one of them, and Cyborg gets vaporized. Like, that's how issue 1 ends. They all fucking die, and Cyborg gets vaporized. It was incredible.
It's pretty awesome, actually.
I mean,
Yeah, one dude gets impaled through a tree, one guy's cooked alive. It's great.
Absolutely. So there, to bring this over to like mainstream as well. So the whole Marvel Civil War, movies and the movie and whatnot is vaguely resembling the comic series in the most
Yeah, they're totally different.
like far away.
Teensy bit.
But in the comics, it started with like this group of mutants being followed around on a reality TV show, and they decided to engage with a dangerous entity near in the middle of a neighborhood. Basically, God, I'm going to stop doing that. I promise.
I do it every week. You'll never stop. It happens. It's fine.
And so one of the characters engages in a battle, and a power blast happens, and it massacres a school bus full of children. And that's what set off the whole, like, we're going to register all superpowers, blah, 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 which then split the hero universe into people that were like, well, no, you can't register people. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Captain America leading that charge, being like, no way. And then Tony Stark on the other side being like, well, why not?
Yeah.
I have nothing to hide. That whole, well, if you're not doing anything illegal, why do you care if the government searches everything you do?
Right.
And if we still had the comics code in place, that story wouldn't be told.
Yeah.
We wouldn't get the death of
not.
Captain America, which was one of those moments in comics that you're just like, holy shit. Granted, they retconned
Spider-Man
fixed it later on, and he's not dead.
Wasn't his identity also exposed in that?
Yep.
Spider-Man?
You had to unmask. That was part of the registration.
He made a deal with the devil, and it all got reversed.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
I'm not lying.
Didn't they erase everyone's
I wish
memories
that
or
were-
some shit?
Huh?
Isn't that what happens?
Yeah, but when he takes his mask off in front of people that knew before they remember.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's comic
Comic magic,
Comics are
dude.
crazy, man.
It gets so convoluted.
It does, and that's why a lot of people are shying away from the capes. Like, capes are falling away, except in the mainstream media right now, because we've got every superhero is every other movie that comes out. Granted, we're starting to delve into some of the tertiary characters that I really like. There's rumored to be there's a villain called Nightmare. Who's supposed to be in the next Doctor Strange film, and I'm really excited about that because now we're going to explore the realm of Marvel that I'm a super big fan of, which is the more horror side of.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the first horror film in the genre. I bet it's going to be awesome. What
I
a
hope
perfect
so, man.
superhero to have that for. Doctor Strange fucking rules.
Absolutely.
I want more psychedelic visuals.
That's
in
what
this one.
I mean, when I saw that name,
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness, I thought this is going to be so CGI heavy based.
Yeah.
I can't fucking wait because that looked good.
I'm excited. I hope that one's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I do think that they should slow the fuck down, though. Like, dude, we don't need 6 superhero movies.
But they're doing so. Like the thing.
I know,
is
and that's
so
the thing. Is
good.
like, as a business person, I totally understand it. God, you're right. You're right, man. But as a fan, it's too much, man. Like, I need to slow down because I can't care that much. But again, like, I grew up when a movie would be in the theaters for multiple months, like the entire summer. I went and saw the Indiana Jones film. The last one was the Last Crusade. I saw the Last Crusade in the theater, but it came out like 4 months before I saw it. So
what? They kept it in theaters for
kept it
4 months at that time?
I remember that
Long-ass
back in the
time.
90s they had that. It was just longer. Now it's, which I've realized this summer in particular with like Endgame, for example, it was only out for a month and they had to re-release it to beat Avatar. You know, I'm like, it's only been out for a fucking month.
Like, why are you releasing
pulling
it?
it?
Well,
Why are you
probably
pulling it?
they probably pull it because there's so much shit coming out right now, and because it's so much easier to distribute things now with how quickly you can make something. I mean, back in the day, you construct. If you look at a VHS tape, it's a whole goddamn. Yeah, I'm a drunk. What can I say? But
You're gross.
I'm a little gross, but that's why you guys are here, right? But they had to make a whole fucking plastic box, and they're using magnetic tape, like strips that are going through the backside of them, and I imagine that's not an easy process to get film on. So it's like,
I'm sure not.
I feel like keeping it in theaters for that long allows them to make some revenue while they're like making this. Probably it's a very costly thing to make back in the day as compared to now. Now it's just like just anything else. It's just like making comic books with something digital where you can streamline something a little bit faster using more modern technology.
Absolutely.
So, we're talking about comic books being turned into films. If you guys were to have this comic book turned into a film, who would you cast for the roles? Who would be in your film?
And who's your directors? Do you guys have? Are you guys
who's
movie
your
nerds
costume
like
designer?
that?
Oh, we love movies. We actually really kind of like the same type of movies.
And you can't say Quentin Tarantino. God damn it.
Well, we do love.
I feel like you do it pretty well, probably.
Yeah,
That's like right up his alley.
I feel like we'd probably. I mean, Western is something he's been delving into more and more. It would be fantastic, but I think that we'd want someone with more of a John Carpenter feel telling this story. I don't know. We've never really talked about that.
We've never talked director, but I do know who we would have play Edwin.
Ooh.
Is he the main character?
Edwin is the main character. He's an Undertaker.
Oh yeah,
he fucks shit up.
We haven't even talked about what the book's about.
No, he doesn't fuck shit up.
No, he doesn't fuck shit up. He helps to not fuck shit up more than it's already fucked up.
Okay.
But he would be played by Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Young Kurt Russell.
A young Kurt.
Yeah.
How would Kurt Russell play him right now?
Honestly, I'll take any Kurt Russell I can. But a young Kurt Russell is really kind of the vision that we saw when we were creating him.
Yeah, but now Kurt Russell's 86,000 years old.
They made him young in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
He was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he is looking old as fuck, bro. He is not looking good. He's on death's doorstep.
It's the Hollywood lifestyle.
He's
you
looking
can't go by
how
that.
he should at this
Exactly.
age.
He's got
He's weathered,
his cheeks
and it's
have
amazing.
his cheeks have swollen into the permanent smile, so his eyes are always squinted.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the same thing with like what's his fucking name? I can't think of it. He was in The Saint.
Oh,
what the fuck's his name? I cannot think
Val
of it.
Kilmer.
Yeah,
Val Kilmer. He's looking.
Why did I know
I
that
almost
from The
said,
Saint?
it's that guy I
I've never
hate.
seen that movie, but I know that he was.
I
in
was
it.
thinking Val Kilmer before that because it's a cowboy comic, and I was thinking Tombstone in my head. I was like,
Which was awesome.
Tombstone. Everyone in that movie.
Yeah.
We'll just get them to populate our comic.
Well,
that would be
From that
fucking
age.
awesome.
That
yeah.
was that dude's breakout role, though. Like they always thought he was playing as some other kind of guy, but when he played Doc Holliday, he really like knocked out of the park, and like that's his star role. Like you think of that in The Saint and maybe Batman.
Tombstone's
Well, I
one
think
of the
there's.
best
I mean,
westerns of
what
all
was
time
that?
ever.
What's that? The sci-fi comedy thing that he did, where it's like grad students in a science program, and I don't know. He was known for that. That was like one of his
Kilmer?
first. Yeah.
He was also in True Romance. He played Elvis.
Yeah.
So he was the Elvis character that Christian Slater would be talking to in the bathroom by himself when he was having his manic episodes or whatever.
He was also in MacGruber, if you ever saw that. He was the main bad guy in MacGruber. And
No,
his
I
name
didn't
was
see
Cunt.
that one.
Pat can't wait to bust out a MacGruber
I
reference.
love that fucking movie.
Every
dude.
episode, it's a fucking MacGruber reference.
That's a fucking good movie. Yeah, but his name was Cunt. Like, we're going to pound some cunt. Like, that was their catchphrase to get him.
So then, who would it be if not Kurt Russell? Because it's always been Kurt Russell.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's challenge ourselves.
If
Let's come up with an
if we're gonna
actor
find
that's not
a
Kurt
Russell.
young
somebody
Shatner.
current. Do somebody
Someone
like
current? I mean,
right
like,
now.
honestly, you could pull Tom
Rock?
Hardy in there and give that same weathered look, but as a younger
How old
version.
is he?
Tom Hardy
He's like
probably.
40.
No,
Look it up.
I'm guessing late 30s. Let me pull up Tom
I
Hardy.
could see Tom Hardy being a
Maybe
dusty
40.
old Undertaker in the
man.
Gothic West.
Well,
Wait,
yeah,
no,
he
we'll pull
did.
it up
I mean,
on
he's
that.
been in a lot of crazy things like that. Like The Revenant, he
He's
plays.
a killer
Yeah,
actor.
he's a really good actor.
Oh,
He
yeah,
did that
he's
one movie about the
outstanding.
Depression era moonshiners or whatever the fuck. I forget the name of the movie. It'll probably pop up here in a second.
With Shia LaBeouf.
yeah, that
Oh,
was,
yeah.
it was actually a
Lawmakers
decent movie.
or
Lawmakers.
Lawbreakers or
No.
something like
Lawless.
that. With yeah,
It's 41. Okay.
41's in the age range. I don't know if he looks right.
Well, you got to let him grow his hair out, man.
I don't know.
What was the movie? Lawless. That's what it is. Look what he looks like in this movie and tell me that he wouldn't work for it. So here he is right there in the center with that hat on. Oh, it's not a good picture.
Or maybe another character.
He's got that scruffy beard and he talks in a like very... I thought that he did that part so well. It's not the best movie ever, but if you've ever...
I like Tom Hardy, so I'll watch it. I'm one of the few... Like, I have no apologies for him as Bane in the Batman movies. I know
did a
people
good job.
fucking hate on him so hard.
Well, people hate it because they hate it. This is why they hate it, because in the comics, of
Tell
course,
me why I hate it, Patrick.
Well, isn't he really smart? He's like also like Batman's level. Like
no, he's supposed to be a berserker character. No,
in the movies he's a berserker with all the he was the complete opposite. He was like
in the comics, he's very smart until he starts pumping the venom.
You didn't know that, Luke? What the fuck, man?
But he's also from Central America in the comics, and was not here. Whatever, fine. The voice. All that stuff that they did after the fact. Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on. What the fuck is that voice?
The birth in darkness.
It took away so much, but there are brilliant moments in that movie, and I will fight everyone to my dying day about this. When he puts his hand like on that dude's shoulder, and he's like, "Do you feel in charge?"
That was so badass.
I got goosebumps in that scene. I was just like, "This is Bane." That's Bane.
I kind of need to know why you didn't do your Bane voice. Because you do a really good one. You do a really good one.
We've had a character of old man Bane for so long that the Bane voice is going to sound terrible.
Southern Bane. He does a Southern Bane. It's amazing.
Southern Bane is just a Southern dude
Belle
doing Bane's lines.
What would he say?
Do the famous line both ways. The Born in the Darkness line. Can you do that one?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say. Let's see. So which one? We'll do the Southern one first because I have no idea that line.
So wait, regular, and then I want to hear the Southern one.
Okay, we'll do regular for Southern. Man, give me 1 second. Sorry.
Hey, warm up. Whatever you got to do.
It's okay.
A little warm tea and some honey?
You think darkness is your ally. You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light of day till I was already a man. By then, I merely found it blinding.
Oh my god!
Shit, you should be reading audiobooks.
Really good.
I was hearing that in ears.
Holy
fuck! Start reading audiobooks.
Southern Bane.
You have a great voice.
Get into voice acting.
I would do. Trust me, that is one of my goals. I would love to voice act. I want to be a villain in someone's cartoon. It does not matter.
This show is gonna be my end to so many non-related ventures.
Well, you just ride the coattails of every other creative person working hard.
What's your best Bane?
No, wait, Southern Bane. We didn't hear Southern Bane.
Southern Bane.
Let's do that one.
Let's do. Okay, so. Theatricality and deception. A powerful tool for the uninitiated. But we are initiated, aren't we, Bruce? Members of the League of Shadows.
Yes! Oh my God! That's a fucking round of applause. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Hollywood, call him.
You guys should start working on an animation project and fucking have this dude voice it. So like he's got some voices.
We do have an idea for an animation project.
Holy shit!
Yeah?
Can you
spill the beans?
Can you reveal anything, or is this all under wraps right now?
We might as well.
We might as well.
Lish was rubbing her hands together like a Smith.
She's like it's very secret. I'm like, let me tell you everything.
So it is. It is called Unicourt, and it's a bunch of unicorns. And there's a courtroom.
It's sort of
Are they like
it's sort
attorneys?
Of like a Law and Order kind of a situation, except that there's like a crew allowed in to film all this. We have one main character named.
Hold on. You're telling me that everyone, like, they're unicorns, like, wearing, like, attorney suits and, like, a judge. And
My Little Pony style meets Law and Order.
It's run by the unicorns, but there's also, like, other... like there's a gremlin.
There might be a centaur here or there.
There might be, but there
fawn,
is
perhaps.
There's a business gremlin, and his name's Kevin. And all he does is business.
Yeah, that's the only thing he says.
Yeah,
is
he just says do business.
Don't make it like Bright. Don't make it like Bright.
And that
Make it like Bright.
I wouldn't have any frame of reference beyond the trailer for that. I still haven't watched it.
Don't waste your time.
No, you should. It's quality.
It's fucking hot shit.
Let me tell you, you can't listen to this man's opinion on things that he fell asleep through and did not complete.
I tried to watch it 2 different times, and it's so shitty. I fell asleep twice.
Dude. I watched fucking Suicide Squad. I'll probably at some point watch.
It's the same people.
I watched it begrudgingly though, so just know that. And
this is the same man that goes to Soto and orders chicken fingers. So
what? No, I never did. When I go to Soto, I get some good shit, man.
I feel like if you fall asleep twice during a movie, there's a pretty good reason to fall asleep during that movie.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Right?
I
thought it was such an interesting concept, but if you guys haven't seen it, there's not really much to delve into.
It's seriously hot garbage.
Speculative.
Don't fucking watch it.
But we're actually just both huge fans of the 80s Gremlins films.
We are.
Like,
I've
we both have
never seen
Gremlin
it.
tattoo. We both
Sorry, I
have
didn't mean
Gremlins.
to take the air out of the room.
Look at
He
this
almost
guy.
walked off the podcast. He almost well, I gotta go now, guys.
What? It's about what? Little elf people. You don't feed them.
Whoa!
Okay, listen.
So-
You don't get them wet. You don't feed them after midnight.
Yeah, it
They're
is.
mogwais. They're not
They will-
gremlins.
Hold on,
They
you
are
don't-
mogwais.
So what happens if you feed them after midnight?
They turn into gremlins.
Duh.
They're mogwais.
So
So
wait.
they're like super cute, right?
What are they before?
They're mogwais.
Is
It's
that
a
a
What?
good
It's
one?
Giz-
so hard to
Gizmo.
understand
He's like the
this.
main
They're like
character.
Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
One at a time. One at a
Yeah,
time.
guys.
Yeah,
All right,
sorry.
I'm trying to understand.
So I will. This is her favorite. So I will step back and let Lish do her thing.
Thank you.
What's the difference?
So a mogwai is this cute little furry creature with big doe eyes, but then
Furby?
Yes, it's a Furby.
Gotcha.
And then if you feed them after midnight, they turn into a gremlin. Like they go into like this cocoon state.
The fuck?
Yeah, I know. It's terrifying. And like then they run amok all over town. And in the first Gremlins, they're like kind of evil, but in the second one, they just are having a little bit more fun. They're in New York, you know. And if you get them right, they
fun in
walk
New
through
York.
them.
New York.
Lost
You gotta
Gremlins,
fire.
lost
What
in
happens
New York.
in New York, you know. But yeah.
Hey, you want a slice of pizza?
Oh, not after midnight.
If you were
Dickory dock.
if
Wait
you
a
were
minute.
making a film in the 90s and you got a sequel, you were getting lost in New York. It
It
was
was
happening.
fucking
Absolutely.
midnight at all times
It's
somewhere on
happening.
Earth. What do you? I don't understand.
Jason
Let me tell
Goes to
you
Manhattan.
the letdown that I felt as a child, having watched so many movies that took place in New York, and then going to New York and being like, wait, taxi cabs aren't flipping over left and right, like no one's fighting. This is really lame.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, that's what I almost got a job, an opportunity to go to Seattle, and I wanted to do it just to see the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever, just because I was like, there's so many movies here.
Seattle,
I'm here.
the Golden Gate Bridge. Are we talking about San Francisco?
Am
my
I
friend?
fucking retarded?
You are.
That's what I'm saying.
Did I just
Indeed.
look at you awkward? I'm sorry if I was like,
Nah.
what? I just went.
You know what I'm talking
start
about.
there?
You know what I'm
That's
talking
not
about.
I
where
didn't know
that's
what you're talking
at.
about. We got you.
But these things do look like fucking Furbies.
They do for sure.
Right? How cute.
Oh,
like, wouldn't
also-
you not have one of those as your pet? But then the gremlins, that's what they turn into after midnight if you feed them after midnight.
They look like they
Ugh.
could fly with their
What the
ears
fuck?
alone.
See?
Oh,
There
yeah.
he is.
That's Stripe.
Or if you pour water
Stripe's
on
a
him, right?
badass.
Stripe
He's
is
awesome.
So yeah, if you pour water on them, they multiply.
And they eat people, I'm guessing.
They want to.
There's so
They
many
want to.
elemental conditions to
they
these
will
creatures.
They really are.
Like, to have one as a pet is high maintenance.
Oh yeah.
They have
absolutely.
They talk.
They talk.
They
What the
can
fuck?
learn.
These things are sentient.
Kind of. So in Gremlins 2, the new batch. There is a genius gremlin, and he just like will sit there and have like full on conversations, and then shoot you in the face.
Is the government in on this shit? Like,
No, but that should be
It's
Gremlins
like if
3.
the annihilation wave met everything on Endor. You know, like a weird combination.
There
Yeah.
you go. I like that.
dude, I don't know. That's some fucked up shit.
It's worth watching. It's really fun.
But we got into this tangent about Gremlins because we were talking
Because
about your
of Business
animation
Gremlin
project,
Kevin.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So because of Business Gremlin Kevin, but we have like a lot of really weird characters in there. Like the main guy, his name is Intern Larry, and he's an intern, but he's a human. He went to a party and got really drunk and then woke up on the lawn of the courthouse, and he had one of those party hats crooked on his head. So they just accepted him as one of their own. And he's been at this too long. He can't really say anything at this point. It's awkward. What other characters do we have?
Oh, we have a bear that runs a beauty salon.
An actual bear?
A Russian bear. Yeah, she does waxing, but she will not wax boy butts. It's one of her rules.
And wait, you do waxing. We're going to delve into this
Boy butts.
eventually
Yeah.
at some point. We can't
No
talk
boy butts.
too much about
I'm
Right,
sorry,
right.
sword ponies, no boy butts.
No boy butts.
Well, is that on any way like a reference to you? Like since you do wax, so that
Yeah.
character is supposed to be some like bear personification of you?
No, it's just like because the waxing parlor that I run, you don't wax certain areas on males.
Oh, okay.
So we made the joke. I don't think we were always in our right mind when we
No,
were coming
we
up with
definitely
Unicourt. So that's where a lot of that stems
Yeah.
from.
But, you know,
But it
short,
wasn't-
like, 10-minute episodes of, you know, Adult Swim style.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I would find on Adult
So
Swim.
that one we kind of just, we plug away at little bits here and there.
Do you guys know anything about animation, or will you have to go through somebody to get
I'll
this
have to probably
animated?
find someone. I mean, I have a friend that does animation, so I should probably reach out.
That's
to
got to
him.
be super difficult to learn how to do, right? That's not something you could just pick up and start.
Oh, he's been
fucking
doing it
around
since
with.
we were kids. Yeah. No, I definitely like. I asked him if he would help us do a motion comic, which is you take a static comic and create like a 3D environment. You can move the camera around. And he was trying to show me how on a program that I had purchased. And like 20 minutes into it, I was like, why don't I just do another comic instead?
Yeah.
Because that shit it's on another level that I'm not ready to handle.
Yeah,
So-
I hear that. The type of shit that you have to learn to get into something like animation is intense. You got to really give a fuck about that craft. But you make some
Absolutely.
amazing things. Like I thought for a long time I wanted to start learning how to do that, and I would like sit in Microsoft Paint and on my dad's little shitty fucking computer running Windows 90 whatever the fuck, and they had Windows Movie Maker, and I would like take pictures and like draw shitty little paint things of like people getting shot in the head and
Dude,
like
that's
brains
fucking
coming out
awesome.
and stuff like that, and put them all together, and it would like I'd put in hours and hours and hours of work. I'd have hundreds of pictures, put it all
Someone's
together.
head blowing up.
It's Windows fucking 98 or whatever it is, so it takes you 9 days to export it. You finally get to click and see what it looks like, and it's 3 seconds long, and it's
Oh,
just and it's all done. And you're like, I just spent like fucking 3 weeks of my life doing this. Like, how do people do this professionally? It seems like such a grind. Like,
I mean, you've got to love that if you're. I mean, that's the only way to do that kind of thing. Like, I suppose with any craft, anything that takes a certain amount of skill, you have to absolutely love to do. And I just don't. I mean, like, I love animation. It's cool. I just don't have.
It's a lot of work.
in me.
Yeah.
Like, I have all these other loves that I'm exploring. So
You already
I'm
had to
good.
master one craft. How are you going to master another so quickly? Like, it's just a
Exactly.
lot
You
of
just-
work.
You just because that's the thing. It's like, man, she can tell you, I hate everything. I hate everything I do. Like, I mean, I
You hate this experience right now?
No, this is fantastic. I hate, like, I could pick apart that for you, what I should have done differently, what I wish I would have added to it, how I could do it. I could do that with every single thing that I've ever created, and I do in my head to the point that she's like, "All right, you need to stop."
Well, you know
Well,
what
that's
you know what
normal.
I can do and what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you right now that this is one of the single greatest things I've ever received from anyone.
Well, I
For you to
appreciate
do that in the
very
midst of all
much.
this?
This is amazing.
Yeah, it made me really fucking happy
Super
that you
cool.
put that thing together. So.
Well, hey,
Truly.
all
I'm
your
thrilled.
critiques about it aside, it made a lot of people really
As
happy.
soon as I saw this, I was like, I imagined him in the circle.
Yeah,
Like
he was
on the
telling me when you
t-shirt.
were outside, he was like, "Can we just fucking get rid of this stupid thing and slap Eamon's thing on there?" I was like, "This is dope."
This guy looks awesome.
Super cool.
So happy.
One other thing I want to ask before we get a break. Pigbone Comics, where'd the name come from? I just saw a picture of it, and it's a decapitated pig's head with a bow.
It's not decapitated, just disembodied.
Just disembodied.
Chopped.
So it's God, we're never in our right minds. So our dog is a pit bull, but she makes pig noises, right? Just like that. And we would call her,
Very good.
but we would
Get you a treat, Pat.
pig bull. But then it turned into pig bone, and then he said, "What should we name the comic company?" I was like, "Pigbone Comics."
Yes.
Dude,
He always
that's
asks me
great.
questions,
Makes
and
sense.
I'm just like, "That's the answer."
But it's obvious.
That's fantastic, though. I mean, like,
just works.
it's weird enough that people always come in, like, they see it and they're just like, "What?" And they step up.
Yeah,
and
it's
they
easy
ask
to
me
remember.
questions.
Very easy to remember. I mean, that's what I thought. Like, I didn't forget it when you told me it when I was getting tattooed by Nick.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I just remembered that name. So, yeah, it's a very easy name to remember.
Before we get a break, is there where can we find everything Pigbone related? Where can they buy your stuff? What's the places our listeners should be going to?
You can just if you search Pigbone Comics on Facebook, that will get you directly in contact with us. At Pigbone Comics on Instagram. We have a website, like I said earlier, it's under construction. But you can reach both of our personal social media from that as well, I think.
Is that where they buy the stuff from, or where can they buy these comics?
We have an Etsy account. It's linked. Is it linked to the
It's
Instagram?
on the Instagram, and it might be on the Facebook. I never go on the Facebook.
Send that to us so that way we can share it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you guys are going to be at Comic-Con or Comic Expo down in Cincinnati. That's super fucking cool.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's a
our
lot
third
of
year.
fun. Yeah.
Third year?
Yeah, third year. The first year we had the preview issue, and then the next year, so last year, we were promoting our Kickstarter because the book actually came out in February.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and this year we'll be selling the book and promoting the
Super
next
cool
volume.
event.
That's
Definitely
awesome.
Go. Definitely go because you get to meet like celebrities. Like,
Yeah,
I've
they
met
got tons
Adam
of people
West
there.
there. I've met the guy, one of the creators from the King of the Hill, and he drew me a Spider-Man picture with Dale spraying him in the face. Like, I'm your
Hell
worst
yeah, dude.
nightmare. But I mean, there's so many talented artists there. A lot of local artists. Definitely go check that out. Go
Didn't you have
meet
some
these guys.
weird interaction with Adam West there? Like,
Yeah, I
did he talk
definitely
to you
did.
about piercings and tattoos for a while?
So
Hey,
before-
he's dead
let me-
now.
okay,
Don't
I got a
tarnish
story.
him.
Tell the story. We'll go to break after the story.
All right,
Check
so-
out Pigbone. Check out
Yeah,
Pigbone.
check out
The
Pigbone.
comics are amazing. Like, I got to say that real quick before he tells the story. Everything I've been going through here, the introductory issue's all black and white. It looks phenomenal. Little quick 6-page read. This other one's a nice chunky like standard size comic book. It's all full color images. It's put together really well. It's got fantastic art. Go support them. They're our local scene too. Go fucking buy stuff off of Eamon and Lish. That'd be awesome. Check out Pigbone. Buy their stuff. Pat, go ahead. Sorry.
So when I went to meet Adam West, I did not know that he voiced himself on Family Guy. So I was kind of shocked by that at first, and he had no fucking line. Like, no one was there to see him. So I was like, I'll fucking go up to him.
That's
So I
depressing.
went, yeah, it was super sad because he's like 80-something fucking years old, and super old.
That shit happens though. Like sorry, not to
Go on.
There's an over, and it's not a problem. There's a lot of people that go to these events for a specific current pop icon.
Culture.
Walking Dead
Yeah.
fucking character.
And I will tell you, like, I walked down the row of artists one year, and I was like, wow, Jay Lee's sitting there at his booth.
You talking about Jim
That's
Lee?
him.
No,
Yeah.
Jay Lee, he was another image guy. He did a lot of the covers for the Wildcat stuff later on. He had a very weird style that people didn't like at the time, but now love. And he adapted the Dark Tower series with
Stephen King
for
series.
Marvel. Yeah.
Oh, that's
the one
cool.
that Drew
Yeah.
Struzan drew the illustrations of or whatever.
It was Jay Lee actually did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you go back and you check out his style has morphed and changed, but when it started, it was like weird shaped people, awkward, clunky, scratchy, very graphic design oriented. But he's a titan in comics. The man is amazing. Nobody at his table.
Sitting there twiddling his
crazy.
thumbs.
Everybody lined up to go see the people that were currently doing the Batman book, which is great because you should always go and support the creators of the media that you love, 100%. But then everyone else was just lining up for not Lord of the Rings, for Game of Thrones people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there looking at Jay Lee, and I was like, man. I
rather
walked
talk
over.
to
I
you
had
than
a
any of those
15-minute conversation with one of my heroes because no one was in line with him.
You never know.
That's crazy.
Especially going to those events, you can literally talk to anyone. Like,
Yeah.
I've met John Bernthal. I've met a couple other people. I met one of the Ron. I don't know his name from Cheers. Big guy.
Oh yeah.
I met that guy. Talked to him for like a half hour.
But full Adam
But
West?
when I met Adam West, I went up to him, and he's fucking old. All right, so he says a lot of old people shit. And I had my tattoos out, and he's like, "Oh, are those real tattoos?" And I mean, that was the first thing he said to me, and I was like, "Yeah, of course they're real." I'm thinking like, what the fuck kind of question is that? And he wouldn't let me get a goddamn word in. He just kept talking and talking and talking about his hotel room and how he would watch scarification documentaries.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? And
You never
he's-
expect Adam West to tell you about his
yeah, I'm like,
scarification
what the
interest.
fuck? Scarification, if you don't know, it's like carving little fucking lines in your skin and like making the scars as the tattoo or some shit.
Yep.
And it
Gnarly.
never looks good in my
No.
opinion. Looks like shit.
Stuff turns my stomach every time I see
looks
it.
painful as
bothers
fuck.
you.
Yeah, for sure.
So he was talking about it for like 15, 20 minutes. And I only said, yeah, these are real tattoos. His manager literally comes up to him stops him from talking to me and drags his roll chair back, and he's still sitting in it, and he's got his arms crossing up, doing like spirit fingers, like, "Oh, they're taking me away!" And like, this made a scene.
That is fantastic.
It was
That's
so
the
great.
best way you could have met Adam.
That's what I always think. Like, he told me that story when we first started hanging out. I was like, that's the best fucking Adam West story I've ever heard ever. Like, that's so
It was
good.
so Adam West. Like, he's so much like his
That's
character.
like a Family Guy skit, him being whisked away by his manager.
That's-
He's
I
like,
think
"They're
that's
taking
what
me
they
away."
do.
Chum.
I think for the show, they actually just let him just talk whatever. Like, just say whatever kind of shit you want. And they go with it, and they just animate
They
it.
just convinced him that he was the mayor of
It's
the
how he
town.
talks. It's how he fucking talks. It's the same guy. His voice is iconic. He's just super fucking old, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
Crazy shit. But, yeah.
I have a strange end cap to that.
For sure.
So we met Lee Merriweather years ago at
Expo.
Cincy Comic Expo. So she was Catwoman in the Batman, what's the year?
Film.
66?
Yeah, the 66
Batman
film.
66. So we met her, and I told her how I have a tattoo of Adam West as Batman on my leg. This is back when he was still alive. And she took a picture of my tattoo and sent it to Adam West.
Oh, yeah.
that's
Nick,
awesome.
That's cool.
I know, right?
Nick, your tattoo was seen by Adam West, just so you know.
Yeah.
Does he
Nick,
text
Nick,
back
Nick
like,
Lavin did
fucking
it.
rad, bro?
Nick's the shit. Nick, did some phenomenal work.
He's
on
coming
me.
back on the end of August.
Yeah.
I've
Hell yeah.
loved hanging out.
Yeah,
I love
seriously.
hanging out with Nick.
Dude,
all
Nick's
the
a
time.
great guy. He's super easy to work with because he's an awesome dude.
We took
Super
the
awesome,
darkest jokes we've ever told on this podcast ever with Nick, and
I
he
didn't know what
just
to say
rolled with it
half
like
the
nothing
time.
was happening. I was like,
Yeah.
"Get
That's
this
Nick.
motherfucker back immediately."
But,
All right, let's take a break.
Let's take a quick break. I got to piss so bad.
Yeah, I wanna
We'll be
smoke.
back.
Yep. Really stupid question. I wanna ask
Well,
you
we're
guys.
already back, so you might as well ask it.
God damn it. Okay, well, I wanted to start with waxing, but I mean, since you guys do comics, like, how do you guys feel about like hentai?
Hentai.
So I actually
Like, do you
don't have a lot
read
of
it for the
experience
story?
with it.
Is that porn? That's
Yeah.
the porn stuff, right?
It's
Don't
like
act like you
anime
don't know what it
porn.
is.
It's like anime porn. Don't act like
It's
it.
fucking it's anime porn.
Don't
Look,
act like you're not a
I
connoisseur.
have nothing against tentacle porn. I just don't like anime.
Oh, you don't like anime at
I
all?
don't. Oh no, there's some. There's
So,
some.
so you're
There's some.
saying you're not
Wait.
against it. Are you saying like you're into it though a little bit?
I'm
No,
almost
not at
less
all.
curious about the hentai question, just to know what the few that you do like. I don't want to know yours too, but he said he doesn't like it at all. But there's a couple. What are your couples?
So there's the first one I ever saw was Vampire Hunter D, and I thought it was
Double
really
D?
cool. And then
Tentacle Hunter Triple D.
That doesn't
it
exist.
would have looked
Well,
very
after
odd. But
this.
yeah.
Sloppy
And
seconds.
then like I like stuff like Akira. I like Ghost in a Shell.
Yes.
I do. I mean, there are elements of the style that I really enjoy in the manga, in the comic form. I just don't like as an animated thing. I don't know what it is. I guess prefer the Western style of animation.
Okay, that makes sense.
But like the Battle Royale manga is freaking awesome. It's beautiful. I love
the movie was great.
the movie is fantastic.
amazing.
They're
Is
actually
that
showing it at
the,
the Esquire in like
You're
this
talking
month.
about the one that's from the Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's awesome. That movie
Yeah.
is fucking great.
Dude, it's
That was
so
like, that
fantastic.
one anime that's from Japan, right? That's the, is that
this
the
was
place?
live
Well,
action.
this one's
It's
actually
like
it's
live
a live
action.
action
Yeah, you
adaptation
idiot.
of the manga Battle Royale.
Okay. It
Super
was
fucking
awesome.
violent. It's basically what Hunger Games ripped off, along with most. Dangerous
Yeah, it's like
Game
a
and
brutal
some
Hunger
other-
Games, but before.
So they actually
Hunger
made a
Games.
live adaptation super good, because every time that they do it with like Death Note or Full Metal Alchemist or like
They butcher it.
they they
Yeah,
butcher
fuck.
it, but they half-assed did the Rurouni Kenshin one all right. That
See-
one's not terrible, but it's not great, but it's not like that Death Note, that Full Metal Alchemist shit where you're just
Full
like,
Metal
you've tried
Alchemist
to
was hot
take this
shit.
whole very in-depth story that takes a lot of exposition. Like, it takes like certain stories are meant to be told over a long point of view.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can just wrap up in a movie. Certain things are movies and certain stories are big. Like, you have these huge plot dynamics that you have to slowly build up and start to develop and things like
Yeah.
that. And that's what like a lot of these animes are, and that's why there's a problem with the live adaptation into a movie or just a movie in general. It's like, that isn't.
But
You
there's-
shouldn't be trying to aspire to do a movie in the first place. But sometimes they do it half-ass okay, I feel like. What's your point, sorry?
But there's also this weird thing that these directors have where they're like, I want to show them something they haven't seen before. And it's like, shut the fuck up. You know, like the original content is there for a reason, and it's lasted as long
and it's successful
as it is.
For a reason.
It's successful for a reason. So just shut your mouth and just go off the script. You know what I mean? Like, it's already there. It's done for you. Just act it out.
Yeah,
Luke,
it's written, it's
say the words. It's all there. It's laid out for you. The job is done. Just act it out. It's not hard.
I just have to say, this is kind of off topic, but you're the most aggressive 5'10" ginger guy that I've ever met in my entire life.
It's fantastic.
And that's why I love you, because you're just you're just ready to yell at everybody. Suck a dick and die.
Always.
It's already great. You don't have to remake it. Like, just fucking I love that energy, Luke. All right, keep going.
Oh no, yeah, it's fantastic, man. I wouldn't want it any other way. Having just met you, I am on board. This is.
I try to like take certain aspects of it, like, oh, it's from another universe, you know, or sometimes I try to take it as its own. But when it's just bad, you know, it hurts my feelings. Like, why did you think, like, in any way or shape or form, did you think this was better than the original, you know?
Sometimes it's just a cash grab, though. Sometimes it's just like, I can make some money off this thing.
That's another thing I'm seeing in comics right now that actually kind of pisses me the fuck off, is people being like, oh, if we make this comic, then we can make it into a TV show. And I'm like, no, motherfucker. The art form of the comic is good enough. You don't need to use it as a stepping stone. We've fought for validity with our art form forever anyway.
And now
it's just people like, oh, well, I can just take advantage of that.
Yeah. And now it's a marketing campaign for your fucking TV show. And then
it's like, fuck that.
And you have to dumb it down anyways, because it's got to have commercial break in it, and fucking it's got to play to a certain age audience, and you can't
move to certain frames a second.
And some executives that are giving you money decided that, oh, we don't like this element of your story, and it's a little too graphic in these places. And it's like, fuck that. Like, just fucking do the comic book. Like, you have
or just like, or don't. Or like, just be like, fuck
do
it.
the TV show. But don't do the comic book. Do the TV show.
Yeah. Just make the hentai.
Just make the fucking. Oh yeah. So yeah.
Just fuck them with tentacles. I don't care. Just do it.
Is that basically how you feel every time that a good comic book gets turned into a TV show that you hate, like The Flash or some shit like that? I feel like your favorite characters are being tentacle fucked at multiple angles.
I don't mind it until they start taking away like elements of the characters, or they take all the good stuff from a different character and they give it to this character that was invented for the show. Fucking Daryl. Just saying, Walking Dead, whatever. When you do something like that and you take away from those characters, you're stripping them of their backstory. You're stripping them of what the original intent of their character was, and you're applying it to this new thing that you're like, oh, this is bubblegum. You'll enjoy this. He's got a crossbow and a motorcycle, and then and you're like, come on, man, like, don't insult me with this. Like, show me these fully formed characters that I already love from your series. Don't ruin them.
Exactly. It's already there. Just act it out.
That's the same way that, like, I'll put it in perspective for a movie that I like. So a lot of people that are familiar with the Silence of the Lambs series, a lot of people, surprisingly, it's weird because now you have the internet, a lot of people should know this, but it comes from Manhunter, which was a movie that came out a couple years before Silence of the Lambs came out. It doesn't have Anthony Hopkins as fucking Hannibal Lecter, and it's very... like, kind of poorly shot, but it's only because of their low budget. They did the best that they could, and it's an okay movie for what it is. But then they remade this movie after The Silence of the Lambs became popular, and it came out as a movie that a lot of people are familiar with called Red Dragon. Yep. And it's good because they did it shot for shot. If you could watch those movies side by side, and they're the same fucking movie, scene for scene, dialogue piece for dialogue piece, like everything, but... they just revamped everything. They just made it look nice. They took everything that you liked and they put it in HD now. And it's like, why the fuck can't you do that with remakes? Like, you just fucking do that instead of whatever your bullshit new idea is with your weird CGI that you want to incorporate into it and ruin all the things that I enjoyed about the original. And I know that movies, we can go into a million different things, but I feel like that's almost the same thing. It's like, why don't you just do it the way that they did in the book? The book's too long. Make a fucking TV show. We can make more money on a movie. That's not the point. Then don't do it. Don't do it if it's a cash grab. Like, you're ruining the thing.
Absolutely.
I just went so.
Let's get angry some more.
I love it. No, and you know what? If you do have a new way to present it, that's totally fine, as long as you're honoring the source material. as long as you care about it.
You know what?
Like you wanted to say something. No. Oh,
you know what? I hope when your guys' comic picks up and explodes, like I know it fucking will, and they come
like
to you for and they come to you for a TV show. I hope you guys stay true.
I will do my best.
Until they hit you with a stack of cash. And you start thinking about your mortgage and shit, and you're like,
They'll be like, here's $80 million, but Ron Perlman has to be in it. I'm going to be like, absolutely the fuck not.
You don't like Ron Perlman?
You don't like Ron Perlman?
No.
She doesn't like
Don't
Ron.
Tony Moore it up.
Because he's just like another version of Becker. Ted Danson. Yeah. Ted Danson, sorry.
She doesn't
I don't like Ted Danson. I mean, they could be brothers.
I don't know. I really liked him in Sons of Anarchy. I really liked him in
They're the same.
Hellboy.
No, they're not.
I thought he did the best version of Hellboy that exists.
I haven't seen the David Harbour.
It's really good.
Not the new one. I'm talking about the old ones.
Yeah,
the new one's supposed to be
I enjoyed
awful.
Hellboy.
Got like a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You're talking about the newest one, which isn't Ron Perlman.
Awful.
The newest Hellboy, at a certain theater that I know, was only there for 3 weeks, and it was taken out and removed.
It got really bad ratings. You know, I was really bummed to hear that because wasn't what's his name? David Harbour?
I don't know.
Yeah,
he's
in Stranger Things.
Yeah, he's Hellboy, and I was like, that's like the perfect guy to take over Ron Perlman's spot.
I liked him. I liked the film.
You saw it?
It was a decent action film.
Okay, I'd have to see it.
It wasn't
if you say it's
Hellboy
good,
to me, but it was a good action film.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch
with
it
Hellboy makeup.
What was the hatred? What was everybody bitching about? Do you guys know? Like, what was the issue?
I have no idea. I've only
just heard it's
I
bad.
saw that there was a Red Band trailer.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I just heard it's bad. So I have a horrible expectation.
You can't inform all your opinions based on what everybody else says, though. You just go out and watch it yourself and see what you think about it.
Watch him do it.
I don't know. I mean, I like Batman vs Superman, and a lot of people hated it.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I don't know why.
Same.
I hated Jesse fucking
Eisenberg.
I can tell you,
bro, but
it was terrible.
Why.
I hated it because I love The Dark
of
Knight
it.
Returns, and it's not The Dark Knight Returns.
At the point that Batman took a vehicle filled with criminals that he just murdered and threw it at another vehicle filled with criminals to murder them was when I was like, I'm done.
Listen,
Batman.
he did
But
it for
that's
Martha.
just what kind of Batman this Ben Affleck is.
Unless it's
It's
Thomas
Batfleck.
Wayne, it doesn't work. The only way that it ever works is if it's Thomas Wayne fucking
Yeah, because the Dark
alternate
Knight
universe
Batman's
Batman.
whack, dude.
Why can't they? I mean, I didn't really.
The
care
Dark
too
Knight
much
Batman
about
is
it.
not
But
whack.
let me
and
tell you this.
I love Tiny Ear, alcoholic, 55-year-old, fucking grumpy, hateable, fucking his knees are going out and like he hates everything and fucking there's this social cancer going on at the time and Frank Miller's trying to do a good job to bring this is what he talked about in Action Comic Book Superheroes Unmasked, an old documentary on the History Channel that I watch religiously over and over and over again because I love that shit. That's where I learned about the comic code and Frederick Wortham and all that shit and like how comic books got broken down from their golden age and blah 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 blah. But his quote from that was he gave Batman his balls back, and that's what it was really. Like you can't look at that now when there's so many ballsy Batman things. There's the Christopher Nolan movies, but when that shit came out at that time, it was a different thing. The Batman one, he's some campy fuck for forever that everybody hated was Adam West, and everybody was sick of that thing. And he gave him this new like side that made him fucking. And they've overdone it to death now, and everybody's sick of it. But that was the genesis of that new fucking dark gritty Batman.
Dude, I'll tell you what, Justice League was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
I never went and saw it. I thought
It's
it was gonna be
fucking
dog shit from the
awful. It is one of the worst. For 5 minutes, you're like, okay, this is going somewhere. It doesn't. It goes It goes south. It goes south.
I think it's probably because the way that they do superhero movies now is based on other shit that worked for them as far as the DC universe was, and Nolan's trilogy works so well by being dark and fucking gritty, and now they try to apply that to like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and fucking The Flash, and everybody's gotta be dark and gritty and have some serious tones about it. And Marvel's like, no, let's make this fun for people to watch. Like, why don't we do that and then keep people coming back for this shit? And that's why that stuff fails, because they're not fun about it.
That's why I like the satire ones. Like One Punch Man, I really like that one because it just makes fun of it, kind of. And then The Boys, like I was talking about earlier, that's a very good one too. It's kind of satire. It's like the Justice League, but they're oversaturated by just running a business, basically branding themselves. So they just don't give a fuck about really what they're doing unless it's the reputation based or some shit. And people die and stuff. And I like the grittiness and seriousness of it, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. You know, it makes makes fun of itself at the same time. I highly recommend that one. That's a fucking good ass show, man.
I've heard good things about the book. I never picked it. Oh,
yeah, I gotta go get the book. That sounds
awesome. I just unplugged my headphones. Sorry about that.
We can get it plugged back in real quick.
But yeah, I never picked it up. I wanted to. I like Garth Ennis' stuff. He did Preacher, which I love.
What's that?
It's a really weird sort of road trip of a comic.
Your headphones work?
Your headphones are good now, I think.
They're good. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Got you back.
All right, go on.
So it's this preacher in Texas who has a criminal past. He's down on his luck. He's just sort of living this drunken existence, and then he is blessed by the voice of God. And it's actually this horrible thing that, like, if you use it, people's heads explode and all sorts of terrible things. And you can actually, like, control other beings. And it's just this long, dark story. He ends up befriending a vampire, and they're going on a trip to fucking find God and bring him back, because you find out that God has just abandoned everybody.
That sounds so cool. I like it when it's dark.
Oh, Kevin doesn't know what's going on at all anymore.
It's fucking great. Yeah, they're like losing their minds and panicking and trying to get this thing back.
So how did you feel about the television adaptation of that? Because I saw the first season of that, and that first season, for the people that don't know, has nothing to do with the comic books, because they're setting up the narrative of they wanted to do the second season as the beginning of the comic books and tell this backstory, because they felt like in a television aspect it wouldn't work unless they created a... How did you feel about them doing that?
I felt fine, only because the tone of it seemed very hand in hand with what I remember from the comic.
Right.
One of the reasons that and this is not related to that, but one of the reasons that I picked it up in the first place was the art, because the art was so weirdly appropriate and inappropriate for the story. The dude that did the art was Steve Dillon, and his art is just clean line. Like super clean. There's not a lot of heavy black shadow everywhere. So for a story that's this dark, to have someone come in that does this very like natural sort of art style, it actually improved how fucked up the shit that was going on in the story was. Because you're like, this, I would expect this from like Sam Keith or any of these other dudes that draw in like this really dark and demonic style. But Steve Dillon's stuff is like you could be a vacuum sales ad illustrator from the 50s, because your stuff is perfect and clean. But then you have him drawing some dude that's eating another guy's face while he's getting, having sex with a sibling from this weird incestuous cannibalistic tribe. Like it's fucked up. Definitely check it out.
It takes a super versatile artist to be able to pull off all those different things also from that clean, like very blueprint-esque, like vacuum cleaner sales, like drawings and shit like that, all the way to somebody's face being eaten. Takes a really well-rounded artist, and when you see shit like that, it's like, this is very impressive work that somebody's doing. I grew up fucking drawing these comic books over and over and over again. I had some like thing, I'd never done anything with them, but I drew them when I was like 10 to 14, and I drew them every day. It was like some Metal X, very basic background story of some guy does a lab experiment and turns into, he's basically a long-haired metal kid version of the fucking T-1000 from Terminator 2. And he can make knives out of his arms, and he's chopping people's heads up, and he's ripping people apart, and then like he can make different like minions of himself based on different elements that he combines the metal with. And I would sit there and draw these bloody fucked up comics all day long and shit like that. Dude. It never showed anybody, and then my dad like caught me with these things, and I felt like he caught me like watching porn or something. I'm trying not to. What the fuck
dude, I know what you mean.
He thought it was gonna be way worse, and he's scrolling through these pictures of just like beheadings and fucking gutting, just shit that I've seen in movies.
Kid needs help.
No, he was like, "This is awesome." He was like, "Let me show you," because my dad was an artist too, and he was always exposed to me. He showed me like Full Metal Jacket when I was 8 years old, and took me to the South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut that came out in '99. I was 6. I remember him looking at me and being like, "Do not fucking tell your mom I took you to see this movie." And I was like, "Okay." And I go in there, and he's like, "Kyle's mom's a big fat bitch. She's the biggest bitch in the whole wide world." And I'm on the floor with the bubble gum and popcorn in my hair, laughing my balls off. And so he always encouraged this like weird shit in me. And when he caught me with these fucked up comics that I'm writing. He was like, let me show you how to, like, I see that you're using curse words in this. And he's like, are you talking like that? No. And he's like, that's fine as long as you're writing it because it's good exposition. And he was like, let me show you how to use it better. Use it better as an adult, though, because this isn't really how people curse when they get older. Like, you're just
really
using
bad
it
at this.
for too much shock. Yeah, he's like being my editor and shit. And he's like, he was like, hold on, I have a program on my laptop where you can kind of like, you'll have to do it with the mouse, but you can line it and shit like that. And I'd print them out.
Awesome.
And I'd go to his work with him every once in a while. He's showing off the comic books that I made and printed off, and I'm stapling them together and shit like that. And his friends, and they were the shittiest things ever. I drew them in like Microsoft Paint, like took my things, scanned them in from my notebook, and then fucking redrew them with just a mouse or whatever.
Yeah,
so I did all that with. I mean, it took weeks of work to just put this little shitty fucking 8-page comic of just like death and beheading and no fucking plot at all, other than just like metalhead kid angst and whatever.
Dude, that stuff's great though. Like one of my favorite. Oh man. So you have to check out this book called Murder Falcon.
Murder Falcon? Let me pull up some pictures. Keep talking about it.
Dude, Murder Falcon is...
I'm already excited about this.
It's the story of this guy. So this guy named Jake is just, again, sort of like down in the dumps. Used to be in a super awesome metal band, and he comes home one night to his apartment, and there is this fucking monster from another dimension coming in to attack him, and he grabs his broken guitar to like hit it with it, and like lightning comes down and strikes it, and his guitar is whole again, and then this giant fucking anthropomorphic like
that thing in that
eagle
picture right there?
with a bionic arm shows up, and he's like, yo, I'm Murder Falcon. I'm here to save your fucking world, and I'm powered by metal.
I love this
by
so
him
much.
playing metal.
Yeah,
dude.
So like,
Image Comics rules hard.
This is so fucking good. It's Daniel Warren Johnson. That dude slays everything he does.
Oh my god!
If you are a fan of metal at all, you should absolutely pick it up and read it.
Oh, I'm checking.
And it's
this
and
out.
it's so
this.
badass because like I'm riding along on this
checking
thing
it
like
out.
this is metal. I'm good. And it just fucking kicks you in the feelings, like just a swift kick in the gut, dude. It's so good.
Oh yeah, I'm
I've
buying
never
every
heard of
issue
something
of
like
this.
that.
Oh my
I
God,
would
it's
absolutely
fantastic.
check that out. Murder Falcon.
Barnes
And
and
all the
Noble's going
covers
out of
are like-
Metal
business.
as fuck.
Look, he's got
So
a falcon face, like
Oh
a
yeah,
beak
dude.
and
He's a
everything.
legit fucking
What'd you say,
falcon.
Can
Cody?
he fly?
Well, I don't want to give away too much. He does end
He's
up
a
with
Falcon!
wings at some point.
Yes.
So yeah.
I'm
And then
so
like all of his
excited
other,
about
like
this,
he
man.
has to
Rocket
basically
arm.
get all of his band members back together from this band, and they all have their own little dude.
Also, there's like a legendary like bird squadron of metalheads.
So they're
I
not all
love this
birds
cover
though.
it's very. This is like
Oh,
a dude
okay.
from Immortal is up
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
dude.
Bath is up
So
there
he's-
playing fucking black
He has
metal.
like this fucking int that's his like, dude. It's fantastic.
He has an
It just-
int. Those are my favorite
Yeah.
characters from the Lord of the Rings. Like
Dude,
overall,
it's
just a
this
tree
tree
beard, and all
fucking
that
beast
shit.
that shows up, and
They fuck
he's
shit
like
up.
from Sweden or Finland. It's fucking, it's fantastic.
Murder Falcon.
And,
Yeah.
like his drummer's got like a or his bass player has a fucking woolly mammoth that's his creature named Halford. It's fucking good, dude. Like, check it out.
It's called Halford. Is it
It's like
bald?
a metal version
No,
of
it's
Pokemon.
just like full like fucking beast, dude. They all have like little nods to it, and then like
Right.
they did a bunch of variant covers where they were like. One of them was the like vulgar display of power fucking cover.
Punching in the face
it's
or
just
whatever.
like they did a bunch of like one-offs to like send off to the fucking metal dudes.
I love that
It's
so fucking much. Yeah, I'm all about that. I'm about to
I
buy
love
every issue. How many
Image, dude.
issues of this is there? Is this
there's only 8. It's a limited story.
I'm
but
buying
it's
it
fucking
tonight.
Complete, dude. It's so good.
I'm buying this tonight, and I'll fucking.
It's only eight books.
8 books.
God.
As it,
That's
he always
awesome.
tells like these little like he did another one that was a futuristic, sort of like post-apocalyptic sci-fi story, and it is heart-wrenching. It's called Extremity, and like basically the story of these tribes, and then in one particular tribe who's trying to seek revenge on these other tribes because they came and they like cut off his daughter's hand, and she was an artist, and so like
That's unfortunate.
dude, it's fucking amazing. It's so worth reading. Like his stuff is incredible.
I'm very excited about it. I can't wait to delve into this world of Murder Falcon.
Hell
That's how I'm
yeah.
going to say it every time.
You
too.
should. You should.
No one just says Murder Falcon. You got to say Murder Falcon. That's the
So-
only way to say that name.
So Lish, so since you decided to create this comic book with him, has he shown you or have you gotten into any comic books that are in the sort of genre that your guys are that you sort of take from or inspired by
Kind of.
or that you read up to?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Like, we, Harrow County was one that's kind of similar in certain ways to what we do. But one of the aspects I always tell him that's so good that I didn't grow up reading comics is it's a broader spectrum. So we can lure the comic book fans in with his comic book knowledge and then kind of still make it reader friendly for people who aren't super into comics.
Yeah.
Because like my grandma Bertha's 93 and we just saw her last weekend and gave her a copy of the book. She's like, I can't read all those little words. I'm like, just look at the pictures. You're fine. It'll still make sense to you. So it was really nice because like I feel like she read through it and understood as well as she's going to with, you know, it being a story about an ancient evil, but you know, that's just not really her jive. She likes like Supermarket Sweep and Jeopardy and stuff. So, but yeah, so I like the aspect of coming at it with some comic knowledge, but not to be overly into that world because I can bring a different aspect to it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I do is I base it on, since we are working in the Old West, I kind of base it around like the old spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. That
like Sergio Leone movies
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because like that's the shit that I dig, and like that and like the horror, and then kind of my knowledge with comic books is mostly the horror world, and yeah.
It's
nice.
That's a nice the contrast to have because you know with I'm sure as into comics as I know you are now.
Oh, yeah.
You know you're probably trying to, or not trying to, but you're probably critiquing yourself to the people that you do look up to, the people
Absolutely.
that you have read, whereas she doesn't have that, so she can like, you know, guide you.
She pulls me in the right direction.
Yeah.
A lot of times I will come to her and I'll be like, well, this is the way it is because that's how you do it in comic books. And
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, but what if you didn't?
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, well, let's think about that and explore it together. And then all of a sudden we've got something new, at least to my thought process, that affects my whole creative world, and it improves it. I mean, I think it's better to have someone that is outside of that, you know, because it's the same thing that I was told by every comic professional that I've ever talked to about drawing. And that's like, if you only draw from comics, you're only going to be as good as the comics that you've read. If you draw from your everyday life, if you draw from everything else, you can create anything. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. Like, don't learn to, I mean, like, it's cool to learn to draw from comics, to start learning, but then you have to, at some point, like, take that next step.
He works best when he's not fighting his own style, because
Exactly.
especially like as a tattooer starting out, as a comic book artist starting out, he's like, well, it's not as good as so-and-so's. That's the voice I do for him. But it's not as good as so-and-so's. I'm like, no, but it's as good as yours. So shut the fuck up and do what you fucking do. Like, stop trying to be someone else's work and do what you do, because that's how you're going to do it best. And, like, now he doesn't fight his natural style with tattoos, for instance. And he's become such a better tattooer out of it. So going against, like, that, well, these are what the rules say, and this is what we can and can't do. And I look at him, and I'm just like, fuck the rules. Not always, but if you need to, fuck the rules.
Yeah, there's every once in a while I'm like, that's fine, but we do have to do it like that because that's how we're supposed to. Like, there are certain you know, rules as far as like transitions, like we were talking about, turning a page, things like that. So if it's going to interrupt the flow of the story, then we can't do it. But otherwise, I'm now open to a lot more than I ever was before with it. So.
I hate to shoehorn this great conversation back in the Westerns, but when you guys brought up the Western aspect of it, and with this being like a Western Gothic style, like a comic book, I'm curious about like your guys' Western movie interest.
Oh,
because
okay.
I think a movie that kind of represents maybe what you're doing would be, are you guys familiar with High Plains Drifter at all?
No.
With Clint Eastwood? Yeah. The one where...
Yeah. With the devil? No, yeah. Is that the one where he's fighting for his soul, or no?
No, there's a weird drifter that comes back into this town or whatever, and he's like, nobody really knows him or knows where he came from, and it's Clint Eastwood playing this part, and he just like, and this town's very corrupt and like always ends up like killing outsiders, and there's this big conspiracy that happened in this town, and it turns out it's like some Sixth Sense shit. I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but I didn't know if that would be some inspiration for
definitely.
you.
That sounds amazing.
We haven't. I haven't seen that, and you haven't seen that, but yeah, that's definitely something we would want to check out.
It's
we actually,
almost,
and the whole town is dead people.
No, so it's actually like almost a horror movie. It's more of like a thriller or like a psychological thriller as a Western. It's a very interesting, I thought.
I'm
concept
definitely
for a
into that.
movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's 1973 mystery thriller sort of thing, and it's Clint Eastwood playing this like
70s too, because that's a
badass cowboy type of thing. It's a really good. I was curious if you guys, what kind of things were you into as far as like spaghetti western goes, or what's your favorite movies in those genres?
Obviously Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars,
Man with No trilogy,
all of those. Yeah.
And I grew up with it surrounding me because like my father and my grandmother watched a lot of like old like John Wayne movies and different things like that. And then as I got older, I was realizing I was kind of like watching it on my own and liking it on my own because honestly, growing up, the only things I really watched was like Mama's Family and horror movies. So it's a nice pairing. Yeah. But so kind of finding that I like those different things and kind of putting them together as one.
Yeah, for sure. And then I watched a lot of Lone Ranger, the old 50s black and white. I loved that. And I had tons of, I had an old West town that was, that my grandmother had from the 50s that was like just made out of tin and sharp and dangerous. But I don't know, it was mostly like I saw it everywhere. Like Westerns were a thing. I mean, like I watched Bonanza, I watched Gunsmoke, The Rifleman, like all that stuff was there on TV, and it was, when I was allowed to, and I would watch it. I don't know. And then as far as like movies go, Unforgiven is one of my favorites.
Unforgiven's one of the best goddamn Westerns of all time ever, and it was made in the 90s too.
Yeah. I mean, like there were some
decent Westerns in the 90s.
Tombstone,
the remake of The Quick and the Dead was also pretty good, but Leo makes any movie he's in.
What was the remake that they made?
That's a fact. That is a fact.
Right?
What was the John Wayne remake that they made recently with your boy True Grit? Yeah, True Grit. I thought that was a fantastic remake.
It was really
excellent.
Good. Really
Coen
good.
Brothers film. I mean,
the
Coen
original
Brothers
and
kill
the
it almost
remake,
every time.
yeah.
What, Luke?
I said the original and the remake. Yeah.
I don't really know True
never
Grit.
saw the original.
I've seen the original like maybe once with my grandpa when I was really young, but it just never stuck with me. But I saw that and I was like, God damn, this is like he's really this old like craggy fucking weird dude and shit, just hanging out. But then he turns out to be a badass.
Well, dude, there's one that always sticks in my mind. I always forget about it though. It's called Silverado. And I think it's got like Kevin Kline and a bunch of other people in it. But that one, that was on, it felt like every single weekend.
I remember growing up watching that. My dad likes that shit.
Yeah, it would be there, and I'd watch it in segments, and then go fucking mow the lawn or whatever, and then come back, and then the next week I'd watch the segment.
It's definitely one of those movies, like in that and Tombstone, you can watch in segments and always come back, and you're still into it just as much as you were from the start.
You guys are forgetting about the ultimate Western, the Three Amigos, dude.
Three Amigos is dope, as is Blazing Saddles.
I did watch that a lot growing up.
Blazing Saddles is fantastic. Oh, I love Blazing Saddles.
That's a good one.
Mel Brooks.
Cannibal the Musical.
Cannibal the
Musical is amazing.
That's a good one.
I'd never seen it. We were just talking about it at Cody's gender reveal party.
Congrats!
What?
Thank you.
He's having a baby boy.
And also, I'm trans. Yeah.
Oh.
Gender reveal.
There you go.
Nope, just kidding about that part.
Yeah, he's a genderless alien.
Yeah, genderless alien. But my child is a boy, according to the scientists. But we'll out-science them soon.
There you go.
Kidding. Making fucked up jokes. But, yeah, I'm having a boy. I'm very excited about it. Thank you guys for coming out.
Fucking
I really
congrats,
appreciate it.
bro.
I hope it wasn't too weird intermingling with my family where there's no alcohol to break up the weird social interactions with family and strangers. And
I'll be honest, I'm a little upset I wasn't invited.
To be honest, I was uncomfortable a little bit because I should have with my pen and I'm just like trying to look for a safe corner of the house to like smoke weed. Like
I thought the same.
Fuck, there's kids and there's people everywhere. Like,
I didn't know family was gonna be
yeah, and
here.
then I'm like, maybe in the backyard. Is Cody back there? I don't know. And then I go back there and say,
don't they have a separate one
everybody
for
on
the
the
family?
porch?
If you're trying to get away from kids, running to the backyard is always a good idea, I guess.
Yeah, dude, what were you thinking? That's where all the fun's at. You went to the place with all the fun?
I'm hide in this treehouse away from all the kids.
Yeah,
I had to hold
out.
a baby, and I didn't want to.
I'm going to sit on the trampoline to smoke weed. There would be no kids there.
Yeah. Easy to
Maybe a treehouse.
But it was a good time. Yeah,
Yeah, it was seriously a good time.
I'm excited for you.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Don't be a bad dad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll try not to be. Thanks, Luke, for the inspiring words.
Words of wisdom right there.
Don't
Don't
bad
suck at it.
Yeah, don't be awful.
Cody, I had a dream.
Don't hit him, Cody. All right,
Remember,
I'll try
this
not to.
kid has consequences on the world forever. Okay.
Make sure it survives.
If he kills anyone, that's all on you.
Thank you, Luke.
Forever.
I'll play this back to him on a loop.
You'd be tried as an adult.
I'll just listen to that in my earphones as I go to
You're
bed. Love you, Allie.
guilty.
Kiss her on the face. Mwah, love you, Allie.
Future
Put that
Cody,
in.
you're
if your
guilty.
kid kills anybody, that's on you. If your kid kills anybody, that's on you. Just over and over again.
Yeah,
So I
that way
really
you
bake
won't
it in
ever
there.
worry. You know.
Yeah, never.
God, wouldn't a nightmare scenario just knowing that your kid is a murderer?
Yeah.
Well, on the same topic of my
I'm
first
knocking on wood. It won't ever happen.
on the same topic of my firstborn child being born, waxing asses.
Not being
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's hear about waxing.
I mean, it's kind of disappointing. I don't have that many like amazing wax stories.
I bet you do, but you're so
Like-
desensitized
No, like,
to
all
your
the
craft,
time-
you don't even
no.
realize.
So I don't do
Yeah.
that anymore. I actually manage now.
Okay.
So, but I did wax for a while because I'm a licensed esthetician. But like the whole time that Eamon was going on and on about Murder Falcon, because you guys got to remember I live with them, so
I'm sorry.
I hear about Murder Falcon a lot.
He's on the phone calling everybody.
Yeah,
as
like,
soon as
Call
he
me
hears
fucking
anything.
Murder Falcon, and I'm like, you gotta stop. We're sleeping.
Yeah, but seriously, go read Murder Falcon. It's amazing.
I'm about
I've never even
about
heard
it.
about
But the
I'm
whole
all
time
about
I
this
just like
shit.
was
Same.
zoning out here, and I'm like, what are my good waxing stories? And I don't have that many. It's like, it's unfortunate. I think maybe I didn't wax long enough before I became a manager.
What was your hairiest Chewbacca-like client that you had?
The hairier the better, actually, because the hair comes up better.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not like that Steve Carell scene in the 40-year-old.
No, that was
not.
real. That was a real scene, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
he
Was
really
it
did get
actually
waxed there.
It was a
But he's
real
playing it up.
acting scene. But no, nobody, but like very
No, they-
rarely do
Do they
people
get
scream
dicks
like
waxed? Like actual dicks?
not at my place, but you would be really surprised by the amount of people that think it's like really funny. And they stick their head and like, hey man, can you wax my balls?
And they wiggle it out.
And you're like, I've heard this joke 8,000 times. And
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
I'm
oh my
tired
god,
of
you're
it.
really funny.
Yeah, we get that a lot also.
Yeah, so like that, I mean, that's kind of the weirdest aspect of it. Other than like, you know, when you're done, people are always reaching into places to make sure you got all the hair.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
there
I couldn't. I would not be.
I would have just tagged their nuts with a clump of wax the one time.
I mean,
Just
you
without
kinda-
saying
All right,
anything.
you thought
Just like,
you wanted
can
to.
you
You kind of want to
wax
just
my
flick at them
balls?
when they come in there, but it's. I guess that's like the weirdest part of it, and like everybody wants their friend to go in the room with them.
What?
I'm like,
thinking
is
of
that going
Brazilian
to
wax.
help? Like, if, like for like a Brazilian, it's like, yeah, is that because we wax everything for females, but we don't do the men areas. But I mean,
That's
Is that
the
because
biggest-
dude blood smell like
Sexist.
complete dog shit all the time, no
I
matter even if they
wouldn't
just
know
got done
about
showering?
that, but probably. But there's just no demand. I mean, we're Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
You know, like I think the amount of people that have actually been serious, like, hey, can you wax my balls, were maybe like 2
I need my
in
nuts.
3 years. So
How do they approach that seriously? Like, hey, I know you get this as a joke a lot, but for real, dog, seriously, look me in the eyes right now. Look me in the eyes right now.
they'll
Can
be
you
on
do
the
this?
they'll be on the phone.
Can you wax my balls?
They're like a pair of fuzzy
Testicles?
dice.
If I say testicles, is it more comfortable?
But no, they if they're serious, they call on the phone.
Do people bleed?
A little bit,
So when people get their assholes waxed, like it bleeds sometimes.
not usually there.
Would
Not
you
usually
recommend
that-
somebody like me to shave their head by waxing all the hair
No,
off
don't
their
ever
head
wax
like
your
that?
head. Ow.
I
I won't
actually
wax
asked
his
her
head.
about that once
Yeah.
because nature has decided it's time to be done with the whole hair thing, but it's not like fully committed. So I have
You're
to
like-
shave my head. I'd rather just have
Or
it
put-
ripped all off, but apparently you can't do that.
You can't do
What
that.
happens
to the
if
top
you
of
do
your
that
head?
on the head?
It would just like it would hurt really bad. I would imagine you would get like a lot of ingrown hairs and be way less comfortable. But
You
I will
think it
say,
would hurt him?
Would it hurt him?
It wouldn't
I'm a
hurt him.
giant baby.
He's
I
a
know.
huge baby.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
I
god! Watch him get a
100%.
tattoo. It's hilarious.
you can. I mean, let's see. Yeah. No,
Well,
I mean,
tattoos
like, honestly,
fucking hurt, dude.
They do. They fucking.
Okay, but
they
like,
suck.
did you punch the wall at Dana's? Because he did.
All right, no, Dana, you
I bet
didn't
he
hear that. I
didn't
didn't
feel
do
the
that.
punch. It was brick wall. And he knocked
What
the chunk
happened?
out.
Why'd you punch a wall of Dana's?
Well, my friend
Well,
Greg.
he lightly punched a wall.
When you
Lightly.
punched the wall,
Did you break
and
a
the
chunk
hole
out of it?
When you
appeared-
Kool-Aid Man style broke through the wall at Dana's and cost him $40,000 in wall damage.
No, when you
How'd
punched,
that story go down?
when you punched the hole in Dana's and the hole was made, did you find like some sort of ancient hidden tattoo memorabilia?
If
for
I
sure?
had,
magic
if I had,
powers?
I guarantee you that we would have. No, my buddy Greg was tattooing the inside of my arm, my Daredevil tattoo, one of my Daredevil tattoos.
I love
Nice.
Daredevil.
And I did not like the way that felt, and I was
Well, the
like,
inside of your arm fucking sucks.
fucking punching on the wall. Just that was, I wasn't told to stop, so I didn't.
You know,
I'm not
I don't
look-
blame you. That spot fucking sucks. I had both of my inside of my arms done, and it hurts like a motherfucker.
But you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry.
I am not looking forward to like losing all the spots on the easy parts of my body.
Yeah, because then you're gonna get to the big leagues.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
man,
get
you
all
can
the
ask-
big
Because
league
I've
shit
got-
You
first.
can ask
I've
Jamie
got
about that if you ever
calves.
get him on the show, because that
Got
was
my
like all
elbows.
that's left that we're tattooing on him. It's like lower stomach, fucking the sides of his neck. I did like
Oh,
he is
man.
not having fun.
So I listened to fucking Travis Barker on Rogan's podcast talk about getting tattooed, and he was like,
Yeah.
when I turned 15, I figured out that tattooing doesn't hurt. I just went to town, and then him and Rogan went on forever about how it doesn't
Bullshit.
hurt. I'm like,
Fuck that.
what the
dude.
fuck are you
Getting
talking about? Like, I've
tattooed
heard
fucking
sucks.
hurts.
every tattoo artist ever. Tattoo artists, people that work every day in this fucking business, sitting there telling you that this shit fucking kills you. I'm like,
Yeah,
what kind of
yeah.
weird paid tolerance?
Dude, it's like
They
the
just
dude-
want to
it's-
seem
Well,
tough.
it feels
Yeah.
like you got sunburn. At least in my eyes, it feels like you got sunburn and someone's scratching.
Cat
Well,
scratches on a
well,
sunburn is how I describe
That's
it.
a
Maybe.
great way
Mhm.
of describing it.
Well, there's
He might legitimately also have a higher pain threshold.
Yeah,
than
Yes,
He
mine.
probably just
exactly.
doesn't-
Because there's those maniacs that just fall asleep during their shits.
or get orgasms.
You fell
What?
asleep during your
I fell
tattoos?
asleep during.
When Nick was tattooed, right?
Yeah, well, I fell asleep during 3 tattoos. One on my
you fell
left
asleep?
shoulder. Yeah.
You're a maniac.
It's basically NyQuil.
It hurts.
It's basically
I mean, I'm
NyQuil
not-
is tattooing
But
for
like when you
You
have
zone
those
out.
areas that hurt less, like one week I got my fucking inner elbow tattooed,
Yeah.
and then next
Ow.
week you're doing my shoulder. I don't give a fuck about that. That still hurts, you know.
Yeah.
But like I fell asleep when some of my back was getting worked on. Actually, back to waxing. One week I got my first ever Brazilian. And then the next week I got tattooed on the back of my arm, this one here. And this hurt like so much less. I actually fell asleep.
Yeah, I totally relate with that because I got a bunch, and I feel like I got all the hard parts first.
Yeah.
Like bits of my legs, my elbows, inner arm. Mm-hmm. And when I got my shoulder done recently, which was the second most recent one I got by Nick Glavin.
Yes.
Which was that big Cowboy Bebop one. It was just my biggest piece. There was parts where I couldn't even tell if the needle was on me.
Right, right.
Well,
Which
Nick-
is so
Nick's
weird.
gentle though.
He's very
Nick's
gentle.
super fucking
'Cause
gentle.
he was the other one where I
Yeah,
fell
he is.
asleep. I had worked like a 12-hour day and I went to get tattooed after. And he was like tattooing. It's on the outside of my my thigh.
Fuck that.
Towards the bottom. No, seriously. Like I was so nervous that it was going to hurt so bad.
Legs are the worst.
It
for
really,
me.
it really wasn't bad. But like your thighs
I
aren't.
love legs.
Your thighs aren't too bad. I mean, the calf. My first calf tattoo hurt really bad, but the other calf tattoo really wasn't that bad till he got to the ditch. That really hurt.
My legs feel like a damn steak knife. Like it is so unbearable.
I got all mine
calves-
done in a kitchen with a dude that was
With
like,
an actual steak knife.
My calves, my
pretty
calves
much.
were fine. The only one that
tattoos suck,
sucked
but-
on my legs was the spot above my right knee. That one was 7.5 hours.
Oof.
Yeah, and
that. I mean-
Anything hurts after 7.5
But,
hours.
Yeah,
but,
it's
but
like
the thing
torture.
was, like, so we started, and about 30 minutes in, that's when the pain at that point, at the 30-minute mark, was consistent until about 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5.5, it was like, oh, you know?
Yeah, I hear
I'm just
ya.
gritting
I hear ya.
teeth and, like, causing the inners of my palms to bleed, you know? Like, it just hurt.
I don't
Dude,
usually do
yeah.
sessions that long. My
No,
longest
dude.
was 6 hours, but it was the outside of my leg.
I have to.
Did not
I
hurt.
have to finish it, otherwise I'm not going to get it done. Because I have tattoos that are almost a decade old now that I just never finish because I'm like, that part sucks.
Wait, Luke, you went for a full 8-hour session in one trip right there?
Yeah, with soap.
Holy
yeah, it
shit.
sucks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something you break up a little bit so you don't have to sit there and just schedule a torture session
We
for yourself?
stopped twice. But my whole thing is when I know I'm gonna tattoo, see, I like read my manga on my phone. So I
And
purchase them ahead of schedule, and then I don't read them. and then I just read them as I'm getting worked on to get my fucking mind off of it.
You get in this weird catatonic state, I feel like, once you're getting tattooed. You know, you get in the zone. It's all you can fucking feel and concentrate on, but you have to, like, zone out and trick yourself. Like, I always ask myself, like, what is pain? Like, what is it? It's just a feeling or whatever. And, like, really zone out to it. But, I mean, that's just long sessions.
What would you say blasted out my inner calf in, like, an hour and 45 minutes. And I barely noticed it.
What would you say a typical session time is?
I try not to tattoo longer than a couple hours, honestly. Like it's a little better now that I'm taking my medication for ADD. But like, definitely you could find a time when you're like, oh, at this point I can see myself starting to be like less interested in this piece of background that I'm filling in, and then I have to go, okay, dude, this is someone's body. Don't fucking do that. You're probably done, or it's time to take a break. And then you can come back and rejuvenate. And like it's everyone's different. I mean, I've watched Nick tattoo for like 4 fucking hours. I've watched, Kyle tattoo for almost an entire shift. Mm-hmm. Like it's just artist to artist. And I find that for mine, like 2 hours is usually where my brain's like, okay, we're good. But I don't do a lot of sleeves and stuff, man. Like I keep my stuff pretty, I don't want to say small, but if I do sleeves, it's like a piece together, do
a bunch of
pork
pieces.
Chop size,
so are you saying
size,
you do like slaps and stuff?
Yeah, it's sort of like that, or like I have the overall plan of a piece, and I just have this section ready on the day, and I do this, and then we build onto it. But I'm happiest in like, T-bone steak size tattoos. Like, that's my favorite.
You just knock them out.
Yeah, and I can just spend time and put the detail in, and I'm happy in that size.
Mm-hmm. You ever tattoo a penis?
We're talking after this episode. Not. We're talking.
All right.
A nutsack?
No. My tattoo. The places that I've tattooed are very boring. I think the most sensitive area, I guess, that I've tattooed would be like right in the fold of a hip. She wanted a rose, and
was that the cover up? Because you had a cover up that was like right above
everything. Yeah,
the lady parts.
And dude, she sat like a rock. I was surprised. But the rose on the fold of the leg, she was like, "Oh my god, this hurts so much," and I was like, "Yeah, that's why I was trying to get you to like move it." She's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Well, we can't now."
Make it like a tree and leave.
Yeah. So I mean, that's probably the like, I don't know, the most private area that I've tattooed. But like I don't have a lot of weird shit because I like doing weird stuff. So it's never like, oh my god, I can't believe you asked me to do that.
You're like, please ask me to do some weird shit.
Yeah,
I want to have
actually,
this
that's
story.
What it says on his business
card.
Yeah,
my business card gets something weird on the back.
Yeah,
because it's fun, man. Like,
how long have you been doing it for?
I'm a little over 3 years now. So I had a 3-year apprenticeship, and then have tattooed for Beelistic basically the rest of the time.
How do you like working over there right now? Those dudes. Plug those dudes. Plug your friends out
dude,
there
for sure. I mean, like all of the guys at Beelistic are phenomenal. I couldn't ask for better dudes to work with. Some of these guys, Olivier and Kyle are 2 of the dudes, and Lee I work with 3 of the dudes that taught me how to tattoo, and it's fantastic. I don't know. I love it. I love tattooing, man. It's a lot of fun.
It seems like a crazy process to get into just from everybody that I've talked to about it because it's such a grind. It's the same as comic books.
Definitely
like you're doing real, like really grindy type of stuff where you got to just like get in the trenches and fucking do it. And
and it's one of those things that like I always joke about with my buddy Jamie. Because I'm like, I picked 2 fields where you have to be asked to draw like anything
on point and quickly and get it done, and there's a deadline. And you're like, fuck.
And I was like, okay, cool. Well, so for my fun, relaxing stuff, I'm also going to work on something that takes all of my time and makes it like, dude, fucking, I don't draw horses, and I was like, I want to do a Western book, and she's like, sure, fine. So I've had to like learn to draw horses, and that shit's tough, man.
Right. Yeah, you got to be a really well-rounded artist to do either of these things because you don't know what the fuck somebody's going to come in there with at you. What's your most, it's hard to ask tattoo artists this because it's your business. So to sit there and be like, oh, it's annoying to get this. Everybody's gotta be like, yeah, well, I like getting business, so let's not fuck this up.
No. But honestly, the stuff that annoys me is when people don't actually take what I'm saying to them as like, these are the actual...
It's gonna look like shit.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I don't know how many times a day I have to be like, well, we have to make it larger because if we make it that small, it's gonna bleed together over time and look like crap.
Right.
They're like, yeah, but I want it.
But my friend just had one 2 weeks ago, and it looks great. Yeah, it hasn't bled over time, and the ink hasn't blown out. I don't even know what you're talking about. Hers hasn't blown out.
Well, see, that's the other thing is like now everyone
ago,
does know these terms because of shows like Ink Master.
Right.
And so you get people that are coming in and they're like, well, this is blown out. And I'm like, well, it's not. That's not what a blowout is. And then you have to discuss it. Like, that's the side of stuff that's a little more annoying. But if I'm putting, Roman numerals on a 70-year-old lady, that's fine, man. It's her first tattoo. I'm going to connect with her. And then we're going to have that shared. Like,
do you have a lot of that where there are a lot of older people that come in for their first tattoo?
I've seen it more now than I have in a long time. And like some people I have to be like, I'm sorry, we can't do that. Because I just know from the skin that it's not going to take, or it's going to be, it's going to blow out.
Like, what happens with older skin?
Leathery.
I mean, it's a little more thin, man. Like, it doesn't have the collagen and all the other stuff.
It's going to bruise them to hell.
Sometimes their hand just snaps right off. You can split them open if
you're...
Yeah.
Sometimes they're frail, and you just, they fall apart.
And then all the dust falls out of their body, and they just become a sandbag.
But at the same time, if you're just honest with people and you understand that, like, they don't hang out at a tattoo shop, man. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm still caught in what Luke said.
Oh yeah, no, the dude was fantastic.
Keep going. I just have to get that last chuckle out. Such an idiot, Luke.
I actually really like that imagery. I'm gonna have to draw that at some point. But it's just that you have to correct yourself in the moment. Because a lot of times you can be annoyed, like, oh, I have to say this again. I have to do this again. But you have to remind yourself, man, like, she just walked in or he just walked in. They don't have a tattoo. They probably didn't hang out in tattoo shops.
Right.
Like, just give them a break. Let them know the rules. And then if they come at you like an asshole, then you can tell them to get fucked and take off. But, like, give them a chance.
What were you doing before all this shit? So it seems like in the last couple of years you picked up like tattooing and doing comic books.
What'd you both do?
Yeah, both of you guys.
I mainly did just whatever jobs I could get. And then I got my esthetician license and been with this company for about 1.5 years now, but I was there a year before. And then I left to work at a terrible company, so...
Shout them out. I'm just kidding.
They're not worth mentioning.
Fuck up your whole resume real quick.
But I mean, mainly like customer service shit, which is like surprising. Like even my mother said to me one day, she said, I can't believe that you've worked in customer service pretty much forever because you hate people. And I'm like, I do, but I'm so good with them. So it's just sometimes it's about embracing what you're good at and not even, that sounds bad. Okay. So it's like embracing what you want, what you're good at until you can be what you want. But that's kind of how I got to where I am, and I love my job. Waxing was great. It was a lot of fun, but I just feel like I stopped fighting the logical side of my mind and decided, like, life is really like Tetris, and I like putting those pieces together. I'm not a creative thinker, and that's okay, because I can do other creative shit. So, yeah, that's basically what I did, just odd customer service type shit.
Fuck customer service, man. I hate it.
It's cool that you actually explored and tried to do something that you actually enjoyed being. Like, I like to hear when people are like, I like being at work, because I like being at work. Like, for the last almost 3 years that I've been cooking, like, trying to do that as a living, I really love it. I've never had, like, yeah, sure, I'm a drunk and I wake up hungover because I do shitty things to my body and fucking don't feel good, but that's my fault. I still, when I get to work, I'm like, I'm fucking doing the things that I really like doing. I'm making delicious food, I'm prepping stuff up, hanging out, talking bullshit with people that you can't do at a normal job because, like, you gotta be, oh, hey, how are you doing, sir? Can I help you with anything today? Like, I don't have to be that fake person. I can just, like, dick around with all the people in the kitchen. It's just, like, it's nice. I love that work, so I'm happy to be in something like that. Were you working the same type of, like, just I'm doing anything for money type of thing?
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of just random menial jobs, but I also, I did some stage acting, and I did, I worked
Stage
at an arts
acting?
organization. Yeah.
You just brushed over that like we were going to sit you down and question you about it. He's got the golden pipes and acting skills.
Dinner theater stuff, and
Like what?
Yeah, there's a show. I mean, a lot of shows. I did a lot of theater. I actually my
Don't brush this
degree,
under the rug. This is
Just so
cool.
tell
Talk
me.
about it. Let's
Okay,
hear
all
it.
right, all right.
Spill it.
So I have my degree is in theater performance. I have a BFA in theater performance.
No wonder you're so good at voice acting.
I had intended
Fucking brushing this off on us.
on doing. Yeah, I know. Just keeping it tucked away. Kidding. I had intended to like go and pursue that, and then become a teacher at some point and teach theater, and that was what I did. But along this whole path, I was still an artist. I was drawing. I was painting. I was making comics on my own, and I just sort of let that fall away, and I focused entirely on theater. And then I reached a point that I was like, this is not how I'm going to make a living.
How do I pay bills doing
Exactly.
cats 3 nights a week? Like,
Exactly.
This shit is
It's
not
like-
going to pay.
It's like I want
the
a
mortgage.
house, I want a family, and I want to be in Cincinnati, and I don't want to be doing this. So
That was when you were in Duluth.
yeah, yep, up in Duluth, Minnesota.
Okay.
Isn't there
And
so
Did you
much
travel
drama
around
in
a lot for
too?
that? Sorry.
Was that?
Sorry. There's so much drama in there too.
I
Isn't
mean,
there?
there is and there isn't.
Literally.
I've never understood adding that extra drama on top, because you already have to explore all these uncomfortable and horrible emotions in front of people anyway. So why would you want to go backstage and then just do that again, but with your own fucking life? Like, that sounds terrible.
So you can bring that self-inflicted trauma into your art and make it more
Yeah.
authentic.
Who was your favorite character to play
Oh wow.
and why?
So I mean, I love classical theater. I did a lot of Shakespeare stuff. I got to play Macbeth in college, and that
You
was
were in Macbeth?
fantastic. Oh
I
my
didn't know
God.
that.
Isn't that dreamy?
Isn't that so a dream? I don't talk about it that much.
so much hotter.
He'd be like, like, when I was in Macbeth, and I'm like, yeah, I know
Yeah,
you were.
because
in fucking
I was
Macbeth.
telling you stories about when I was in college.
But it was
for
when we first started
theater.
dating, so it sounded like he was like trying to impress me, like when I was in Macbeth, and I was like, oh my god, were you in Macbeth?
Yeah. And then I got to do one of my favorites was I got to be in Avenue Q, which is basically like an adult themed Sesame Street, and I played the Cookie Monster character called Trekkie Monster, who's
Like you were a
obsessed with
puppet?
internet
They held the
porn.
puppet?
Yeah, I built and held the puppet.
You built it?
Yep.
And he's
I built
obsessed
all
with
the puppets
internet
for that
porn,
show.
you said?
Was that? Yeah, he's obsessed with internet porn.
How do you play that
Really?
off in a puppet with a...
Oh, he
what
had
was
like
your...
total Cookie Monster voice and
Lots of
everything. Like,
Can you do a little rendition of what this sounded like?
Please.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
that asking too
absolutely.
much? I'm
All right.
sorry if it is.
Talk about masturbating or something.
So I'll just
Shoving
get into
butter
the
up your
Cookie
ass
Monster
or
voice.
so- I don't
real quick.
know.
Dance for me, monkey.
So I'm trying to think of any of the lines that I have, if I can remember. It was basically just the Cookie Monster voice. So I can't listen to myself
fine.
and do it at the same time. It's gonna be awful.
I love this.
Perhaps you would find a better way to get me the porn besides the internet. I cannot afford the internet right now. So if you could just mail me a box of porn, I would be happy to have that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, another
was
round of
amazing.
applause. That was fantastic, dude. You're really
Have we
good
been
at this
together
shit.
like 6.5 years and you've never done that?
What you hate
Okay, the Muppets are
so-
terrifying, but I appreciate you.
Bro, do some fucking
Why don't you
voice
do this
acting.
shit?
Do
I-
some voice acting. What are
I
you
would
doing?
love to.
And then recommend me.
For no
There we
reason.
go.
I
It'll be a
remember
package deal.
I did a podcast once, and there was an angry ginger fella yelling about a lot of
You
stuff. I don't
should
remember
check
what
him
about
out.
specifically, but you should
You could
call
be like,
him.
maybe if you're like walking to the elevator and like maybe you just hear in the distance like, hey, we need like a guy with a really annoying laugh.
I bet. I feel
Whoa,
like
hey, I
you're
know the
Intern
dude.
Larry.
Luke,
over
I feel
here.
like your
Oh,
laugh
turn
is
like
so
that.
animated that it would actually be something that
Hit us with
should
the
be
Luke
in
laugh.
something like that.
Let's hear it real quick. The Luke laugh.
Yeah.
So that they can
Why
understand
don't you giggle at
what you
something
mean.
horrible real quick?
Give us the most obnoxious laugh that you got, bud.
It's not gonna happen if you just put me on the spot.
We just did it to him. We did it to him. You can't do it. Come on.
Dude, you're making my proverbial laugh dick little.
All right. I hear that. It's doctor's office laugh dick right here. I understand.
Limp as fuck. Okay, so
Patrick, tell me about a time you got hurt or something. No, I'm just
God
kidding.
damn.
That is how he really gets in character for his
God,
role.
it's really fucked up. So, one other thing before we close up for the episode, you said you wanted to talk about some spooky shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the mannequin video.
The
Spooky?
Spocky?
So yeah,
Spooky,
it's just,
I want spooks.
this is. I mean, I don't know.
What the fuck is this?
Speaks.
Oh, is this the fucking video you guys were talking
Yeah,
about?
this is
We
the video
forgot to
we're
delve
talking
into this rabbit
Yeah, we
hole.
totally
So
Yeah.
like I do this thing when
Balls deep.
I mean not anymore, but like when I was single and I would start dating somebody, I would just throw every fucked up thing I could find at them to make sure they could hang. Because one time a guy came
Really?
one time a guy came
Like
to my
cake
house.
farts or something?
No, like just like fucked up movies and horror shit. Because one time this guy came to my house and I was watching Army of Darkness and he asked what I was watching, so I was first off very offended. And then secondly, he asked if we could turn it off to watch a football game. And so I was never going to let that happen again. That was too tragic. So
Movie's
just
awesome.
like in the beginning, I will just like start throwing
Yeah.
crazy fucked up shit at guys I would date because if they weren't here for it, then I didn't want them here for it.
And this was your tester for Eamon?
This
is
is one
wild.
of
Like,
them.
here, watch this murder video.
So
I
we
found on the
also
internet.
watched.
You guys want to see what 3 guys, 1 hammer? So to make sure you're
God.
cool, bro. You
One
ever
man,
seen
one
the
jar.
Mr. You ever seen the Mr.
They made
Hands
me watch
video?
that on one of my first days of fucking my apprenticeship. We had to watch One Man, One Jar.
Oh
Oh,
man.
to
Yeah.
completion.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, oh,
You
they're
wanna
like,
learn
you don't
how
get
to
to fucking look
tattoo?
away. Like,
Oh my
Wow.
god.
oh, it was
Learn
bad.
about body modification. Look how this man
Yeah,
splintered his
he's
This is
asshole.
what not to
Modifying.
do.
This is how you rip your asshole in twain.
What'd you show him?
But what is this?
So this is one thing I showed him, but also one of my favorite questions was always, "What's the most fucked up movie you've ever seen?" And if someone didn't answer a Serbian film, then they had to watch a fucking Serbian film.
I'm intrigued.
I didn't answer a Serbian film.
He did not answer a Serbian.
What'd you
film.
say?
I said Birth of a Nation.
And I was like, "Okay, buddy, we're on 2 different planes here. Let's
I
get
see
you to
where
this
you
level."
went with that. Yeah, Director
Yeah.
of the Nation's pretty dark.
Never heard of it.
It's a Ku Klux Klan positive documentary.
It's
It was made in the
fucked up.
20s about.
W.C. Fields. Yeah, it was fucking
It's some
terrible.
real fucking
Oh.
awfulness right there, just
Horrible.
from a racism aspect. But
What were you saying? Though?
Serbian film. You guys,
Yeah.
you guys know what that is?
Never
I'm
heard
not
of it.
familiar.
Okay. So a Serbian film is a movie about a retired porn star and he is low on money, so he decides to do one more film to make all of this money, and the film is like super fucked up. Like they give him this like what was it? The
Fucking machete or some shit.
no, the bull, the stuff, the, like bull Viagra, basically. And then
For
he's
him
just
to
like,
take?
Yeah.
yeah, and he just
His dick
like,
would explode.
Well, no, he just fucks everything in sight, and like there's like decapitation. There's,
It's fucking horrible.
however,
Like fucking neck holes?
what about each of the
yeah,
killer?
there's a skull fucking scene.
Yeah,
So there's
a
that.
skull
Skull
fucking.
fucking.
Scene. It's fucking. So
And
it's
it's
a
all
fictional
actually
movie.
happened?
It's
Hold
a
on.
fictional
No,
movie.
it's
Oh,
fictional.
okay.
But I-
Bull Viagra made him skull fuck something.
oh no,
Well-
a different guy skull fucked her.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, just watch it or don't. Please
Don't watch
I
it.
don't
Actually,
know.
don't fucking do it. Dude,
Just you know what,
Get
wiki
what
it
up?
or whatever. Look it up and see because
Yeah, just
I don't
look
want to
it
go into all of that.
I
But
hear you.
anyway,
Skull
it's
fucking.
like it's like super fucked up.
It's making Eamon physically upset
Oh,
right
no,
now.
this is-
He's
I
got
would-
new body language. And
Yeah.
shit,
Like, this
like,
movie is
no.
so-
You don't get over it.
It's
Like
so
you do
bad.
not
Like,
get over it.
It's really well
need to
made.
watch it.
It's
It's
really
beautifully
well
made.
Watch
The
while you're tripping.
cinematography, the
I was
like
just
the score
thinking
and
that.
everything. Oh no!
I just feel
Oh,
like
no,
I've seen
honey,
enough
you don't
horrific
do that.
loves
death
watching
videos where I don't
fucked up
need
shit.
any more of that. in
No,
my
I
life.
don't think
like,
you don't. You shouldn't. It's unnecessary.
No, it
You
is
don't
really
need it.
unnecessary. But that's
I
like
lent
the
it to a
ultimate.
friend, and they're out of state, and now it's their problem.
You've never heard from him again?
Yeah, no.
You gave it to him like it was the Ring VHS or some shit.
That's what
must
we
never
called
watch
it earlier.
this.
But I mean, it's
Now
like,
this is yours.
if a guy can sit through that bullshit and that horrifying disgustingness just to hang with me, I'm probably gonna keep him.
Okay,
That's a crazy
so aside from a
test.
Serbian film, what is this that you
this
showed
one.
him?
Video
One of
called-
your multiple levels of hell that you have to bring your boyfriends through.
I'm already scared. It's called I Feel Fantastic.
So
and
okay,
it's
there's a
mannequin.
story. Yeah, there's a story behind the mannequin video. So the story is as such that a guy filmed this, and it was really like women that were trapped in like a cellar or a basement or a hole in the back, and that he would make them say these words and it would make the mannequin sing. So that's the story behind the video. But you know, like when you're like just going through like Reddit and you see creepy shit and stuff like that, like that's how I found this picture.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just unnerving. It's weird.
It's weird.
I fucking hate this music.
Right?
Oh, I need to watch this on psychedelics.
I feel like I'm watching an Aphex Twin music video.
It's just
So there's women trapped somewhere that's making this thing talk.
supposedly every time that they're like screaming or they're crying out, it's triggering this. I don't.
How do
That's
you
one of
know-
those
I
urban
don't-
legends that there's no proof that it's not, but I doubt it. I
That's
don't know.
awesome.
It's just a mannequin in a Christmas sweater in a hotel room just singing this.
So,
I don't know.
Lish,
I'm concerned
Lish,
and confused.
Before you dated
Yeah.
Eamon, did you make sure that he could solve this puzzle box that when he finally solved it, demons would come from every layer of hell and rip him apart with chains and hooks?
The sites I'll show you.
Yes.
I kind of like that testing process, though, to know
Right?
that they're cool first. Where you're like, I mean, I'm attracted to you, but hold on a minute. Let me see if there's anything else other than that. Let me give you the weirdest things that Reddit has to offer.
So listen,
at
I
this
got
time.
divorced at 28, and he was like super religious and like,
Oh, I bet that was fun. I bet he
No,
was a super cool guy.
and he was like really into sports and like all these things I'm not.
Oh, all the best things ever.
And I was like, have you heard of this movie? It's called Human Centipede. He's like,
Yes.
he's like, I don't think I want to see that. And I was like, I don't think I want to be
It's not
married
God's
anymore.
will.
yep, time for a divorce.
Right?
I'm
We
all
watched
about
Did you
it.
make him watch it?
No, we got divorced him.
You divorced him.
I've yet to watch the third installment.
Oh, don't,
watched it,
honey,
it's
real bad.
terrible.
It's
The
real
second
bad.
one's
It's
good.
real bad. The second one's a lot of fun.
I got
The third one's so
amped on
bad.
the number of people. I got excited.
Have you seen Pink Flamingo?
A very long time ago.
That was one of the weirdest things I've ever
It
fucking
was
seen in my
really
life.
weird. Yeah.
Okay, how about Tusk?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Tusk.
It was awesome.
It was. Thank you. Yes.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
It was
I
haven't seen it
fun
yet.
as hell, dude.
I
now,
want to.
now, when towards the end, when they got out of the car with the newspaper, I jumped out of my seat screaming. It was. I was like, "There's this." They had no business doing that to him.
Don't spoil it, goddammit. I want to watch this.
Go watch it.
Go watch
Fucking
it.
They
Well.
made him read a newspaper.
Guys, what is Fucked Up Movie Friday?
Oh,
Yeah, what is that?
it wasn't Fridays. It was Sundays.
Oh,
Fucked
sorry,
Up
sorry.
Movie
Come on,
Sunday.
Eamon. Get with
My
it.
bad.
I heard it outside
Come on,
when we
damn
were
it.
having a
yes.
cigarette or whatever, but
Oh,
what
yeah.
is this?
So, it was like a fucked up movie night in general, but I used to have it on Sundays. But we would just do that vote. What's the most fucked up movie you've ever seen? And half of my friends had never seen a Serbian film, so they all made me watch it with them.
Oh, okay.
But we
So
watched like Antichrist one night. We watched Salo.
Antichrist is that Willem Dafoe movie,
It
the
is.
really weird one where
Yeah.
there's that weird shower sex scene where I'm like, I want to see Willem Dafoe fuck somebody
Ew,
with his big
I don't want to see
uncircumcised
him
dick.
fuck.
This is strange. I don't
Right, it's
know how I
fucked
feel
up.
about
So
this.
fucked up movie night. We watched one called Irreversible that was like done in reverse. A lot of foreign films.
Wait, the movie was in shot backwards?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, yeah. It has like one of the longest and most graphic rape scenes like ever.
But it's in reverse.
No, the movie's in reverse. Like they tell you the end at the beginning.
Yeah, the storyline is told.
Yeah,
there.
the story.
Oh, they Tarantino
Gotcha.
you.
a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a Pulp Fiction.
You thought it was like they were playing Stairway
whole
to Heaven
thing
backwards, and it was
yeah,
like,
the whole-
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
No.
assumed.
Fucked up.
Of course, that's not what it is.
That's what I assumed.
But that was
Why
Wait,
have-
turn that off 3 seconds
Why-
in. Like,
why haven't
whooped
they
up,
done that?
whoop, Satan.
Yep,
All right,
yep,
it's off. I'm
yep,
turning it
yep,
off.
yep,
Don't
yep.
this
Like,
movie.
hold on. I think I'm getting it now. All right.
And if you play it forward, it's a comedy.
when you play it backwards, it summons the devil.
Romantic comedy.
I'm gonna piss. I'll be right back.
But so what other videos like on the internet did you watch? Like
It was mainly movies.
I watched like Marble Hornets.
I loved Marble Hornets.
Marble
Slend-
Hornets.
You never heard of it?
No.
It's so like these people on the internet. They took the
Creepypasta.
the new aged myth that is Slender Man,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
and then
okay.
they created like an ARG off of it.
Oh.
It's
So
pretty fucking creepy.
it's
fucking creepy.
It's
Wait.
weird. They would make it very in depth and detailed. They would have a YouTube channel where it's the kids who are being afflicted by Slender
being
Man
followed.
Okay.
being followed, and
Marble
then there's,
Hornets,
then
look
there's
it
a
up.
separate channel called The Operator where it's Slender Man sending them messages via
Okay.
YouTube, and then there's Twitter messages.
Slenderman's on fucking Twitter, just so you know.
And then you'll
Everybody
watch like
at Slenderman.
You'll watch
Slendy, what's up, bro?
You'll watch the operator videos, and then there'll be like a flash of numbers or like mixed things, and then there's like cryptic shit in the tweets and videos that you got to piece together. Like it's all very long, and
that's insane.
Yeah, but the thing is that these kids who have decided to do this coincidentally live near each other, so they like made a combined type of universe, which made it even better.
Oh shit!
Yeah, like there's a whole in-depth thing to that is the Slender myth. Like there's Slender Man
universe,
and then there's like his like workmen that work for him. You know, like
isn't that how myths come about? I mean, like I would assume. Someone was like, "Oh man, this guy tried to drink my blood," and someone else was like, "Yeah," and then he turned into a bat.
It's incredible, dude. Like there's the Marble Hornets channel. There's Tribe 12.
What's Tribe 12?
There's Dark Harvest. Tribe 12 is the story about Noah Maxwell, about how his cousin kills himself, and he posts videos about diary entries and about him talking about his cousin, and then it just grows from there about how he's slowly being afflicted by Slender Man and someone else, and then he's
Slenderman universe.
Yeah,
SMU.
Dude, and then there's time travel comes into place.
Time travel in game.
It's so weird.
This whole thing.
But
14 million futures and one win.
But there's like there's a YouTube channel called Nightmind that does like an explanation, like series on it, and I'll eat like tabs of acid, and then I'll just watch it. And I'm like, fuck yes! Like there is a wormhole in my closet that will take me to the park outside where Slenderman is. You know,
that's how people go nuts forever, Luke. You're like you're like on purpose trying to Sid Barrett yourself. You're like the only dude that ever heard Sid Barrett's story. I was like, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to be him one day.
I watch that shit. I'll watch like anything by Alan Resnick, if you know who that guy is.
Wait, is he the dude that did the clay face with the fucking? Yeah, dude. I was actually going to talk about that to you guys. Yeah,
Alan Resnick.
You ever tripped on acid and watched him?
Sculptor's Playground. Alan Tutorial, if you ever heard of that. That's some weird shit, dude. Yeah, I'll watch that stuff.
He is strange.
What's Dark Harvest?
Dark Harvest, those are two kids in Philadelphia that get involved with a cult that worship Slendy.
Side note of Dark Harvest. I was in Aldi today.
Yeah.
And came across a dude with full Juggalo makeup tattooed on his face.
Luke loves the Juggalos.
It was tattooed on his face?
It's probably Luke's brother.
No, I'm a conduit from those people to the real world.
Like you help them...
What, you do whippets with them and you guys connect through drug sales? Like, what are you talking about? You're not a conduit for anything but doing whippets.
Fago breathes through my veins.
A conduit of CO2 compressed gas.
You don't expect to do a case of whippets. You know, you just...
As a general rule.
You just...
General Juggalo.
But if it falls in your lap, by God, you're doing it.
And then you get involved in the SMU.
You're just hanging out with Juggalos, and suddenly you're both buying a case each. And next thing you know, they're all done.
That does make the most sense.
Don't say this like this is a moment in life that everyone's participating in.
You were hanging out with the Juggalos.
Hanging out with the jugs.
You guys know, right? Real shoulder nudging and shit.
You're telling me you've never killed a case of CO2 to yourself?
That is exactly what I am telling you.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
100% what I am telling you right now.
Those are the words that are leaving my face hole and entering your ears.
He's a conduit. Remember.
Doing it
to the real world.
It was kind of scary doing it with them because like I would do it one at a time, and then they would put 3 cartridges in a balloon and then like multi-inhale it like. And then they would just like transform into a brainless zombie and just.
And you're like, that looks cool. Better finish the case with them.
I'll have what they're having.
They seem like good people. Well-intentioned, well-behaved, upstanding human beings.
I would be talking to them. And they would just like while they're moaning just consciously throw up the like white one moment. So it just seemed like they were just coughing up along like after a bad bong rip. I don't know.
Wow. This is graphic.
There you go. And that's
so
how
that's a
Juggalos
little bit
made.
About Luke.
That's how Juggalos are made. That's the inception story of every Juggalo.
So, yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. I gotta go there, guys. It's that time.
You're
We're
welcome
going over.
for the closing story.
Pat just turned into a pumpkin immediately.
Sorry. I know, I'm throwing it out of nowhere, but I gotta go to bed soon.
It's all right. Listeners, go and check out Pigbone Comics. Go follow Lish and Eamon. They're really cool fucking people. And
thanks, man.
Everything that they're doing.
Go to the Comic Expo.
That's
Go get a fucking tattoo.
Go get waxed.
Go get some. Get no bums, but get
No
get
boy
some,
butts.
No
Get
boy
your
butts.
pits waxed.
Get your pits
Girl butts
waxed.
all day though.
Get your
They'll
nose
wax
waxed.
them. Go
True.
and get your girl butt waxed or your man arms waxed.
Get your back pussy waxed.
Whatever you need.
Your back pussy?
You know, the hair above your butt.
You're the only person using that phrase.
I think so.
I like the commitment to it. Though.
I think
we should
trademark it.
Like acting
Yeah.
like we should know.
Yeah, I mean, if I go into the waxing place and be like, I need a back pussy waxing, you guys got me? Would you guys accept that?
Get out.
You have to leave them.
I don't need your
You
business.
just come down. We'll shave it for you.
Yeah,
All
go
right.
around the corner to be
I gotta
lipstick.
get a
He'll shave it.
tattoo, and then I'll stop before the tattoo happens. I'll just wait for you to shave my
Like,
ass.
oh, never mind, man. I'm out of here.
You got my back pussy good. Thanks, Nick Glavin.
Well, thanks, guys, for coming on. Listeners, be sure to check out our new Reddit page. It's awesome. We've got a Discord going still.
r/the bastard sermon. Thanks, Cody.
Message us for a link to the Discord. Patrick will hook you up. We got our shirts in. They are here. We are figuring things out on how to sell them. Contact us.
Just message
Web
us.
store coming
Just
soon.
message us. It'll happen.
Message us.
Yeah. Long distance and folks outside of Cincinnati, Ohio.
If it's any long
we'll
distance,
figure something out.
Cody will take care of it if it's anything that's gotta be shipped out.
He just dumped all of the responsibility on
No,
Cody.
Cody will not take care of it.
That's Patrick's duty.
Sorry, guys.
Anyways,
And also check out the Patreon whenever the fuck that pops up, Fred. We're just there's
It'll
no
happen.
tears.
Why are you even
Throw
talking
us-
about it if it's not even up?
it'll happen.
It'll be up soon. Throw us $1 and we'll tell you a ridiculous story on the air.
But buy our shirts. They're awesome.
Yeah, just hit us up.
All right, peace, bitches.
Later.